You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
That's right, folks. It's Thursday night, Beans and Dice. Woo! Live call-in show all the way from the West Coast with the DJ Horn, my man Mike.
West Corner. West Corner of the country.
I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Wayne.
And today, we're going to be giving you the beans. All of them. All of the beans you'll be given.
You gonna get them all up?
But these are West Coast beans coming all the way from the West Coast. Ooh. Our boy Mike is going to be giving us the beans.
That was scary. Don't do that again.
For you listening at home on the podcast, Mike is messing with his Zoom, and it's amazing because he's getting ready to show off a game called Pagan Fate of Roanoke from 2022. After Mike gives us the beans, we're going to talk about different news topics, games that we've played, and get ready for Dice Tower.
2 weeks away.
And we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll lead you up to what we plan on for next week and set you up. So that's going to be our episode today.
Yep. Call-in show, remember, the first 30 minutes-ish, we will have the phone line shut down.
Phone?
We'll just a phone line. Yeah, no, I'm doing
I found
what you
it.
did. Yeah,
Ooh, I was like, where's the phone?
Found the phone line? Oh, that's what you were asking. I thought you were getting on me about phone lines.
I looked down, and the phone was not there.
So yeah, exactly. So phone line, we're going to shut that down for about the first 30 minutes. We're going to give Mike the stage for a little bit. And then as soon as Mike is done with his beans, we will open that up. So again, call-in show. Feel free to join us, interrupt us at any point, talk about things that you want to talk about, what you've been playing, what you've been doing, stuff you've heard in the news. You've got questions for us, topics. We love it.
Get them ready.
Bring it on. But first,
and if you get the voicemail, you're welcome to leave a voicemail. We'll play voicemails if they come in.
Yep.
Although it's not dedicated to voicemails this show, but we will play your voicemail if you end up leaving one while we give you the beans. All of them. Beans, that's our format for the review. BEANS.
What's that stand for?
It stands for the basics. E for enjoyment. A for aesthetics. And N for negatives. And then finally, S, summarize it.
Plural, summer.
All right, Mike, what you got for us?
All right. The beans tonight. This is on Pagan Fate of Roanoke. This is a 2022 game. It's a two-player only game. It was published by Wormgold, who has done a few other games, but nothing I'm too familiar with. I'm not even going to try and say the developers' names because they are foreign to me, and I don't want to butcher them. So this is rated at an 8.1 on BGG. That's with just over 2,000 ratings. And overall, the funny thing is like I typed up like this little outline to keep me on track here. And when I started it a couple of days ago, it was overall 803 or 805. And I checked again today, and that's 803 overall.
Moving up in the world.
It's moving up. So, Pagan.
B for basics.
The basics. Pagan Fate of Roanoke is an expandable deduction card game. This is set in colonial America of 1587. One player is going to play the witch, who is attempting to complete a ritual of renaturation before being exposed and expelled by the witch hunter, who is attempting to discover the witch's true identity among the 9 villagers that are in play. So, obviously one person is going to be the witch hunter. I got my entire game over here spread out. So the hunter, now this is the, they did make a mat for this game, but this is the hunter board, and it's very similar to the witch board. Each person has 3 spaces to put cards that you're going to be playing. So each person has their own unique deck of 50 cards. There are rules for the deck itself, and I'll get into this later on because you can actually create your own decks with the expansions, which I think is pretty cool. So on the hunter side, you have like 3 locations that you can place cards that stay out, and then you have 3 allies. And thematically, this is like you have allies that are helping you go through the village and try and hunt down who the witch is. And then on the witch's side, you actually have And the funny thing is these are actually cauldrons. I thought they were tree stumps.
Yeah, looks like it.
And
Or
they
half-
kept saying, "Oh, you can drink a potion," and I was like, "What does a tree stump have to do with a potion?" No, it's a
It's a
cauldron.
Canadian game, and it's maple
go.
trees, and you're
drinking the sap. No.
Yep, and then you have 3 familiars down at the bottom. So they
birds.
kind of work the same way. You pay a cost for your card and you put them out. So just to kind of give you an idea of how the game is set up, there's going to be 9 villagers that are put out in front of you. There's 3 different, I don't know if they call them factions but they're 3 different colors: blue, red, and green. And
So like suits?
I don't know if I would call them suits. Let me see. How do they refer to these? I can't figure it out. I have it written down here somewhere. But anyway, and they are put out in a specific order. They're actually numbered on the back, 1 to 3 per color, and there are certain spaces that are on the board that you are supposed to put these on, and I'll explain why that is. There's a few cards that refer to adjacent villagers, which I think is pretty cool. But I'm going to take this one villager as an example. So they have a name, and then each villager will have a power that's listed below them. So whether you are the hunter or the witch, you are visiting these villagers by placing out pawns. It's kind of like almost like a worker placement game. So if you put your pawn and you're visiting that villager for that round, the other player cannot visit that villager. There are ways to what they call ready the villager, where you can get rid of the other person's pawn. But they all have a power, and then they all have this other symbol next to them, which is a color of another or their same faction, like either red, green, or blue. And then this particular person has 2 coins next to them. So while you're visiting these villagers, what you're trying to do is, if you're the witch, you're trying to visit them. And as you visit, you are, this is kind of getting into the component portion of it. You have like these little worker placement pieces here. And as you get to the villagers, when you're the witch, you're trying to put these little question mark symbols in front of them. And when you have 3 in front of them, in front of a villager, and you visit them again, then you can convert that over to, it's a glove token. And then the way the witch wins is when you have 3 gloves in front of a single villager and you visit that villager, if it's you as the villager, then you win the game. The hunter is trying to figure out which of the 3 villagers or 9 villagers you are and kill that person, or figure out who you are. So the 9 villagers, there is a separate deck here with all the villagers that are represented by a single card. You're going to shuffle it up. The witch person is going to draw the top card secretly, and that is who they are going to be. That is the witch for the game. So they hide that. The rest of the cards go into a pile. That one of the actions that the hunter can do is he can secretly draw a card off the pile, and obviously there's only going to be 8 in this pile. So this is one way that he can narrow down who he thinks the witch is. If he goes through all 8 of these before the witch can do her spell on her witchy poo person, then the hunter wins. Or there is also another thing that you can do as the hunter. You can actually kill a villager. So you can, if you have narrowed it down a little bit, or you can even go right off the bat, you can actually, once you have enough icon or tokens in front of that villager, you can actually say, I'm going to kill this villager, and you flip the villager over. And if the witch is actually that person, she has to admit, yes, that was me, you got me, and the hunter wins. Or, no, you killed an innocent villager. Kind of like, witch times. If you sink, you're not the witch, but if you float, you're the witch.
You made
type
a
of thing.
lose.
The cool thing is about that particular mechanic is, because each of these villagers has different powers on them. Well, if you kill them and that card flips over, that power is no longer available to either person. So you're actually taking actions away from the witch. Like if you are trying to make it hard for the witch to play cards, because you have to put one of your tokens in front of the villager, and that says you can play a card. to play a card. Well, if you start occupying those villagers and then you kill one that has the play a card, you're making it harder for the witch to play their familiars and play their potions down. So the difference is on the hunter side, it's the same kind of thing. Like when you're almost like you're interviewing these villagers or you're inspecting them to try and narrow down who you think the witch may be. So every time you visit them, you are also putting a token in front of them. Once you have 3 tokens in front of them and you visit them, then you get a boot. And you need 3 boots in order to draw off of the villager pile, to kind of narrow it down. So that's pretty much the basics. If one finishes the other one, if the witch can do her spell, she wins. If the hunter can figure out who the witch actually is, he wins. So that's the basics. It's first time playing, explaining the rules. You're probably looking at like maybe 2 hours for the game, but once you get the hang of it, you can probably get through a game in about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how the cards come out.
Wow, it says 30 to 60 minutes on BGG. Wow.
Yeah, so that's the basics. There's a couple other things I could show you here, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't want this going too long. So the next one, E, is enjoyment. This is a killer cat and mouse game where when you are the witch, you're trying to outsmart the hunter, because while you're putting these tokens out, you don't want to like immediately start dropping tokens in front of the villager that you have the card for, because obviously the hunter is going to know who you are and off that person. So you need to kind of take your time and spread this out over the course of the game and build up where you have multiple things going on at once. So the hunter, it's a little bit harder for them to kind of narrow it down. And because this is so asymmetrical, not that I've played it, but I've heard people compare this game very similar to Netrunner, which is no longer in print. And it's you're the hackers versus the corporations, I think, is how that goes. So your decks are totally different. You have totally different powers. But unlike Netrunner, this really doesn't have the rules overhead that Netrunner does. And it doesn't have like a very involved deck creation portion to it. The other enjoyment for this game is there is some serious tension in this game. If you are getting towards the end of the game and you're the hunter, and you've only got 2 cards left in the pile before you can figure out who the witch is, and the witch is, I'm about to get caught. So now I really need to buckle down and try and figure out who I'm going to visit to throw the hunter off so I can visit this person and cast my spell. And vice versa, where if you're the witch and you're putting all these tokens out and the hunter isn't narrowing it down enough, because you can do things to prevent the other person from doing things and vice versa on both sides, it builds this huge tension that I find it enjoyable because, I love cat and mouse type games. I like thinking that I'm smarter than the other person, even when they, it's a red herring the whole time and boom, I beat you. That's fine. But it's the whole enjoyment for me is throwing the other person off during the game, and just the way these cards play and the different powers that you can have. And some seem stupidly overpowered, but then the other side also has stupidly overpowered cards, so it plays very well against each other. So that's really the enjoyment for me. And if you're playing with somebody that and you're constantly playing this game, it's like, okay, I played the hunter this time, now I want to play the witch. It's almost like one of those games where when you get used to it, immediately you're setting it back up and you're switching sides because they play totally different. So anyway, that's the enjoyment. The aesthetics. The art in this game is very consistent throughout. The components are very high quality. I have the deluxe components. I did the Kickstarter for this game. I did the first one, and then they did a second one with some like errata cards and some updated tokens. But the tokens like come in these really nice drawstring bags. Like this is the hunter bag, and these are nice, thick, chunky tokens for your pawns. That would be the hunter, and then all the little chits in the regular version, which would be cardboard. They are like these wood pieces that have the symbols on them, which I think is pretty cool. So you've got
you showed that question mark one, and I was just in awe of like how intricate that token
Detailed,
is.
Yeah.
Right. They have all these really neat cutouts, and it's not like just a plain old question mark. Like that's got some depth to it, and it's got some artistic.
For you folks listening, the question mark is on a token that's maybe less than half an inch in diameter, but the question mark is like almost like a Joker-esque, like the old Batman Joker question mark, like the Riddler type question mark.
Yes,
and then
very similar to that.
But it's etched through the wood of the token, so it's like laser cut. I don't know how they did it, how they mitered that out of that token, but it looks great. it looks fragile too. Like I worry with my sausage fingers.
Yeah, but they're really not. I mean, they're probably a 1/4 inch thick each piece of wood. And then you have this is the influence bag, so you need influence in order to play cards from your hand, and I'll circle back around to that. And then with they did like a major expansion called Beyond the Palisades, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but it introduces these skull tokens also, which are pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
And that comes in its own bag.
Skull bag.
The skull bag. All the cardboard is like, it's not thin cardboard. There's really no bend to it. And again, all the artwork is very clear. For the most part, a lot of the symbolism is clear, and there is a negative to that in the negative section. But each person, like even their board that tells them what they can do on their turn, I mean, this is cardboard. Like that's
great to see. That's a good size player aid.
High quality.
Right.
I hate it when they put a player aid on just a card and they got to shrink the text down.
Squint at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll circle back around to that, but I mean, it basically explains how you play out, because when you visit a villager, you have to do these 5 steps in order, and there's a reason why you have to do them in order. But like, this is not only your player aid, but this is also some of your worker placement here. So like this one here, where you can either gain 2 influence or draw a card or play a card, like both players have this, but when you would take this action, you would actually put your pawn right here. Or readying a villager. This tells you exactly what you have to do to ready the villager, and you put your pawn on there. And then here, the end is nigh. This is when you perform the ritual. This tells you how to win the game when you're the witch. So it's spelled out really well in that regard, where it's a little bit of rules heavy up front, but you really have everything in front of you that kind of explains, like, oh yeah, how do I ready that villager again? Oh, it says it right here. This is what I have to do.
Nice.
So
nice touch.
Go ahead.
Oh, I said nice touch there. Just player aids are so frequently overlooked.
Very true. Yeah. And then the actual board of the game, there's 3 pieces like this, where you would put the three villagers of the same faction, and you can even see, like, it tells you, like, these are the blue factions because it's got 1, 2, and 3 right here, and that's exactly how you put the villagers out. So there's 3 of those, and then of course I got the mat during the first Kickstarter, and it has all these boards on the mat. It's all laid out, so it's got a place for everything. You don't even need these boards. I keep it with the game because I'm just OCD like that. So as far as the aesthetics, I mean, that pretty much explains it. The cards are linen finished. Even though I sleeved them, you probably wouldn't need to, because they are a good thickness. Thick cardboard, consistency of the look. The deluxe components are wood, and they're really nice. Like, the colors are nice and everything. Okay, so let's get into the negatives. The negatives. Some people have complained about this, and I can understand why. These are bad cards that kind of show it off, but you can kind of see with the text here, the iconography sometimes it's a little small for some people, and I can understand it. And I think they probably could have made the iconography a little bit bigger, and I don't know, maybe done it slightly different on some of the icons. They are smallish, and that is a common complaint. But I think once you get used to the game, it all kind of makes sense. And there are a couple that are kind of similar, and I think they fixed that with some of the errata cards. They actually printed out new little card-size player aids that kind of explain what each icon means for both sides. So that was good.
Do you feel like the size of the icons, if they're similar in size, they kind of like the ink with that darker tone to the game, they're hard to differentiate. There's really no like it's
Contrast.
contrast to it.
Yeah, I think I mean that I think the contrast is there. I think it's just the shape of the symbols. I'm trying to find the cards here. I must have them in other bags. Where it just like the familiar kind of looks like this one, or the enchantment looks kind of like the potion, you know. But again, once you kind of distinct like which one is which, there really is no issue going forward. It's just like an initial. These are very nitpicky things that I'm saying here too, because there really aren't too many negatives with
All
this
right, so
game.
for today's episode, the N will stand for nitpicky, not negatives. Sure.
So you have the iconography. This is this is common with other games. It does take a few plays to like kind of settle into the game. And because both sides are extremely different from the other, it may take a few extra games. Like if you want to become good at the hunter, you know, you'll play a few games as the hunter. But if you want to become good at the witch as well, it's going to take a few games with the witch. And I'll circle back around to the card, the deck creation in a moment. But you need to know like what kind of cards you have in your hand, because sometimes you're like, oh, I'm really waiting for this one card to come out because then I can play it. And so you need to be familiar with the game to be really good at it, I think. I mean, can you luck out and win? Sure. On your
Is it
first
a
go.
shared deck between the two players? Okay,
No.
good.
So like, I mean, I have mine bagged. I'm going to print out an insert for this, but like this would be the witch's deck, and then here's your hunter deck.
So I'm just trying
again,
to draw
the
out the
artwork-
cards that I want from my own deck. I don't have to worry about you taking them.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all right, so that was a couple plays to settle in. The first play or two might take a little long on your first go, because you are kind of like, oh, what does this icon mean again? Or how do I do that? But I think once you get those few plays in, like I said, you could probably get a game in to 60 to 90 minutes, I think is realistic. If
So
you
the
really want.
advertised 30 to 60 is kind of like a lie.
30 minutes, man. That would have to be like second round, the hunter shoots the right villager, or something like that.
Yeah.
But even then, like there's a specific rule. Like you have to have tokens in front of every single villager before you can start taking one out. So it does kind of build in this anti end early
Guessing.
I guess, mechanism. Yeah, like you can't just randomly guess, boom, on the first round I'm going to take this guy out. No, you got to build that up a little bit. I have a note here. It says, I felt more enjoyment when playing with the same person multiple times. So if sometimes we get in this ritual of, I'm going to introduce this person to this game, and then you don't see that person for a while. Well, then I'm going to introduce this other person to this game. It's almost like you're starting over every single time.
That
with
hurts.
new people.
Yeah.
And it does hurt.
Especially a 2-player game.
Right, exactly. So this is really a game that I think would excel if you play these types of games with the same person over and over again. And I thought that would be a problem with this particular game and me, but so far the two people that I've played it multiple times with, we've both really enjoyed it, or all of us have really enjoyed it. So we constantly say, we got to get Pagan back to the table, and we typically do. So that's a good thing. And the fact that I had a similar issue with BattleCon, which was a level 99 game where it was basically a 2D fighter, and board game format. But there were so many freaking characters that you could learn how to play and you really had to play the same character over and over and over again to learn how to play. Kind of like, Street Fighter or something. You had to use, Guile or Ryu or Blanca, multiple times to really get good at those characters. Whereas this, you can just kind of settle in, and after a few plays, you really understand what you're doing. And then the last thing I have here for a nitpick, because it is a card game, there is some luck of the draw. I wouldn't say that you can mitigate 100% of bad draws, but there are some ways around it where you can get rid of cards. And like one of the main characters or one of the villagers is, you can draw 3 off the top, and then you pick one and you discard the other ones. So there are kind of ways around that, but I did play one game where it was just like every card you drew, it was just like, this isn't going to help me at all, and I really didn't know how to mitigate it at the time. But again, small nitpick. I played this game multiple times, and that's only happened to me once. So there's a couple other things that I wanted to get into, but I'll go to the summary real quick here.
So before you go, so just in my head though, I'm trying to picture the game more, and all the components you've held up, and it seems like it's a table hog for a 2-player game.
It can kind of seem like that, but I would say it probably takes up. I'm trying to think of another game that would probably be similar as far as game space. Probably around the same size as like a Power Grid game, where maybe the board is a little bit more elongated than it is wide, and where the way this is with each player having their own place to like put their cards. It's laid out differently on the mat, where it kind of streamlines it a little bit. So using the mat, like literally everything fits on the mat. There is no extras sitting around the mat. So it does kind of streamline it in that regard. But I think you could lay out the normal version with the boards that they give you and everything pretty close to that size. So that's what I would say is probably equivalent to is because you have to figure like with Power Grid, you've got your power plants that are around the board. So it does take up a little bit more space. And I would say it's probably around that size. So in summary, for me, I wouldn't say this game is for everybody, but I think if you are the type of person that likes a head-to-head game where you like being a little crafty, or you love trying to throw the other person off, or you like trying to figure out where that other person is, like this total cat and mouse game, where you either like to be the hunter or the hunted, almost kind of like a hidden movement game without the hidden movement, I guess, per se. So for me, I mean, I don't regret getting this game, and I've gotten all the expansions and all the mini expansions, which I actually want to get into here just for a second. Because you can, anyway, that's the summary. I think if you like head-to-head games, almost kind of like a Radlands, that type of card play head-to-head where certain cards will give you powers and you do have to build up things over time. And you're slowly chipping away at something to get to the winning, the win at the end of the game. That's kind of like what this game is.
We're thinking like Lawyer Up or Watergate, where it's head-to-head, but they're very asynchronous kind of powers.
Right, exactly. And those pictures that you're showing there, you can see the cardboard chits. The cool thing is that there actually is theme in this game. Some of the expansions will actually have scenarios that you can play through, which is kind of neat. Like the base game comes with Welcome to Roanoke, and then the second scenario is Fate of Roanoke, and then they throw in like I'm going to throw this up here so you can kind of see it. They have like special rules for playing that particular game. So like this one, Welcome to Roanoke, the witch needs less things in order to perform her ritual, and the hunter needs less things in order to try and eliminate villagers and such.
Like a quick play.
Yeah, it's like a quick play. I mean, these two particular scenarios are quick plays, and I'll be honest, I haven't looked through them all. But like, it gives you like a little bit of background. Something is amiss in the newly established village. It kind of adds a little bit of theme. And the other thing that I thought was kind of cool was they will give you a card with like each faction that kind of tells what each one does. And in this particular case, like this person, Mia, down at the bottom, she will, like, if you go to her, you're going to gain 3 influence, and then the other person gains 1 influence. And influence is like your purchase power. But like when you read the back of the card, it says Mia is in the center of it all. Being the servant to the mayor, she runs all the errands and hears all the things and rumors. So it's almost like she knows more about everybody, so she has influence over she has more influence to provide to you so that you have influence over other people. Like you're getting the dirt from her. So it's just little touches.
No official
like that.
title gives her that. It's just in her running around. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't even need to read that stuff, but it's just, they put a lot more thought into it than here's these 9 villagers, that really don't mean anything.
They built a village, gave you characters that play in that world.
Exactly. So they have other packs of villagers. They have different powers on them. They have like these mini decks, like these mini expansions. This one's called Trials of Old, where this is 16 cards, 16 for the hunter and 16 for the witch. And you can swap cards in and out of your deck. So like you can create your own deck if you wanted to. And there are certain rules. So you have to have you can only have a max of 2 cards of this type with, you have to have 10 from this category, 10 from this category, whatever equals 50, kind of like Marvel Champions when you're building your deck. And I was thinking I'm not going to take the time to freaking build my deck and stuff like that. But then the more I thought about it, like my friend Scott has this game, and we were kind of going back and forth. Like I would never take the time to build it. And then I thought well, how about what if I built my deck here and I brought it with me to your house and I played with my own custom deck that way? And he was like, oh, now that's something, because you can kind of create your own deck while you're working at your desk, throughout the week.
That's the part of the hobby I love, is that in between games.
So there is this kind of a CCG feel to it without it being a CCG. Because you can
kind of customize your deck. Like if you're the hunter, you can customize your deck to burn through something faster than others. And
exactly.
It would be a surprise to that person playing the witch because they're playing a different deck. Yeah.
And then they're playing different stuff that you've never seen before that you're not used to. So
you know what would make a fun game night? If you tell Scott to make your deck and you make Scott's deck.
Oh, right. Exactly.
That would be shenanigans.
Exactly. So now you're getting the feels for it. So there's 3 of these little mini decks. And then I think they had Kickstarter exclusives. This is like a whole pack of extras. So there's, I think, 2 sets of villagers in here with different powers in addition to the other ones. And then also other decks that you can put swap in and out from your deck. So anyway, that's Fate. How did I do on time there? I'm a little bit over.
Doing pretty good. I want to wrap up with the classic try, buy, or deny. So, for the average gamer, what would you say on this one?
I would say if you haven't played a lot of games like this, like cat and mouse type card games, I would say try. I think, and I hope that I did a well enough. I hope I gave enough beans that whether or not this is a game for you. And if you feel that it's a game for you, I mean, it's a buy. I mean, it's not an expensive game. You can get the base game where you've got, 2 decks, and it's, I don't even think about it like that. It's just a card game, play the card game. And you can purchase the mini expansions once you've played the crap out of the base game. You can just buy a mini expansion and swap some cards out, and it changes everything. So, yeah, I think you would know if you like this game or not, and I would say a buy if you start getting giddy, listening to the description of the game or the thoughts of how you could play the other person. it's a buy. But other than that, give it a try. I think they have it at Dice Tower. I think it's in their catalog,
In the
or
library.
their library. And
We'll be there in a couple of weeks.
Coming right up.
there you
Couple
go.
of weeks we'll be out there.
I know Z Garcia and
Mike.
not Mike Delicio, the other guy
no.
that I used to not like very much, but I
Joey.
love him now.
Joey. Oh, yeah.
Joey.
They did a review on the Dice Tower of this game, and I think, if I remember correctly, I think Joey gave it an 8, and I think Z gave it a 9. So
wow.
if
Yeah, they're ready to
your-
hide.
If your likes kind of align with them, there's their score.
Nice.
All right, so on that, with that, Wayne, what based on how Mike gave you the beans, how do you feel about this game? Is this something you'll seek out? Is it for you? What are your thoughts? Your willingness to play or buy this game based on Mike's beans?
I would play it. I wouldn't seek it out to buy it because it just seems like a Kickstarter-y, bloaty type game where it's like, well, I can go get Watergate or Lawyer Up, which is also a Kickstarter game, I guess. But no, this seems
Well, here's the other thing.
But-
I just want to say
but
this. This
yeah.
is the game
Rebuttal.
box.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is the box.
Oh, that's not bad.
Everything fits in this box.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good. In my head, I had it as like,
No.
Way
This is
bigger
it.
Okay,
It's
that's not
just
bad.
one
Yeah,
box. Everything
That's
fits
cool.
in it.
and it's a cool time. Like it's based on the fate of the Roanoke, colony,
Mhm.
and like
Mhm.
whatever happened. We still don't know really what happened to that original sort of colony. So no, I would definitely. It's definitely a try for me. Mostly because I just have a bazillion 2-player games that I don't get to play as often as I would want now. So it's like,
Yeah.
but no, I like the artwork though. I like that it's very gothic, maybe in the
Yeah.
artwork.
And it has like that thick black outline. to the
Is
art,
it
which I
cell
like.
shaded? Is that what we would call that? Like comic cell shaded
I would say
artwork?
it's more comic. I wouldn't sell. I mean, maybe
I wouldn't say
cell shaded. I
cel-shaded,
wouldn't say
yeah.
cell shaded.
With the dark outlines to everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And it has
cool.
a dark, like thematically, a dark look to it without being grotesque. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
it's
almost
also
like,
has some bright coloration. Like it's got
Right.
some beautiful color choices.
It does. Yeah.
that is true. Yep.
I think the other thing that's interesting to me is like, they advertise 30 to 60 minutes and you're like, I don't know how you get that in under an hour and a half. And I'm like, well, you got Skull Hollow and Mall Peak and you've got, how many million other 2-player games that play quicker. So like that 2-player game, if I'm going to spend 60 to 90 minutes, is there a 2-player game that would, then you're getting up in maybe Twilight Struggle, or 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours for Twilight Struggle. Probably.
All right, Rob. Based on the beans that Mike giveth,
Yeah. It's,
do you taketh?
sounds good, but it's probably not my kind of game. I'm not a deduction guy. I'm not a trying to eliminate. I'm not good. Well, everybody knows by now I'm not good with memory. So trying to remember what I've done, where I've gone, who I'm trying to wipe out. It's just not up my alley. So it looks like a beautiful game. It sounds like if you like that kind of stuff, that I would say would probably be at the top of the class. I mean, just from seeing it and hearing you talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's just not my type of game. So unfortunately for me, I would try. I would not play it. I would try it just to test it out, just to see. But I think I definitely wouldn't buy without trying. And then we'd see how that goes. But all right, Carlos, what do you think?
For me, there's some aspects of this game that make me want to seek out to play it. Now, none of it makes me want to seek out to buy it because there's aspects of it that make me not want to seek out to play it. So start there. The 2-player deduction piece of trying to figure out what card you have reminds me of Star Wars Rebellion. And my plays of that with Robert have sucked because I feel like no matter what I tend to play most games with Rob.
Yeah.
So I mean it's a given.
Yeah.
He seems to catch me in every lie. Like the moment he'll say, "I bet it was the milkmaid." And in something in my eyes will scream, "Oh my God, it's the milkmaid! He caught me!" And he will know. Like those types of games really bug me because I can't hide it.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of turns me away from that style.
And 2-player deduction, not to cut off your thing here, but 2-player deduction is tough. I mean, there's not very many games that have done 2-player deduction and
Right.
done it very well. So,
That's
but
a
anyway,
good point.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what pulls me away. But what brings me back in is I like 2-player card games. I like CCGs. But you know what? What this does well is it doesn't do the normal thing of beat up the opponent to win, right? Like the objective and the goal isn't just a do more damage to the other party. Like it's so like Watergate, right? That feeling of Watergate is a 2-player game. It has a different objective. Now it's not a card game, but this is a card game, and it steps out of the norm, which is do damage to the other side sufficient to win the game. It changes that. So that's what kind of brings me back to I would try this. So in my summary, this is a definite try for me. Not up to a buy. So thank you, Mike.
Yeah, Pagan
for
Fall of Roanoke. Yeah,
giving us the beans.
Yep.
And at this point, we will open up the phone lines. We're going to open up phone lines. 813-618-7099 is the number.
Call in, talk to us about what you've been doing, what you've been playing, what you've been, anything geeky goodness. We talk about TV shows, we talk about books, we talk about whatever you want to talk about, anything in the geek universe.
From here forward, for the rest of the show, it's off the rails. We're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about games we played. We're going to talk about TV shows we watched in any order that we choose, right? Because at this point, it's just a conversation in hopes that you join in the conversation and bring in your topics.
Mike had us on the rails. Carlos is taking us off the rails.
It's only look. I can only promise the rails for about 30 minutes.
Pretty much par for the course,
That's
right
his,
there.
his top tolerance there, 30 minutes.
In the chats, we got James Odak saying word.
Word.
Okay, that's the first comment of the day.
First
word.
First order of the comments.
Words are hard. Nick
word the
Oben
bird?
coming in with evening, gents. Thank you, Nick Oben. He says, would be easier to see the cards if they weren't in those silly sleeves. LOL.
Oh, you're so funny, Nick.
Yeah.
Mike did say they don't have to be sleeved. They're very
Because they're
quality
linen
cards.
finished. Why? Like the purpose of
why
linen
sleeve
finished
them?
cards, they feel so nice in your hands.
And then you sleeve them.
And you sleeve them.
There are people that sleeve, and there are people that don't sleeve.
And Mike is not one of those latter. He's the former.
We got a phone call.
Beans and Ice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, it's Amanda calling from Zephyr Hills.
Hey,
Hello,
how are you, Amanda?
And
Hi, I wanted to talk to you guys about Dice Tower.
Yay!
I am excited.
So excited.
Yes.
I'm that nerd who in our Discord made the spreadsheet because I'm that excited to play games with everyone.
that
having-
spreadsheet saw a lot of action today.
Oh, it did. We're lighting it up.
It did. Dan went in there and literally I was in it at the same time and he was typing in for Thunder Road Vendetta. And I was, as soon as he finished typing it, I went in and was like, me.
I'm on that list. I'm on there too. Yep.
Because I remember I went last year and we had so much fun, but by the end of the day, from learning the games, like having to read all the rules and everything ourselves, you just get so drained. And I'm like, next time I just want to meet up with people who already know the games.
Yep, absolutely.
So that they can teach it to us without us having to read a book. And hopefully that means we'll play more games and not be as burnt out by the end of it. So
You're 100% right. My first time going with Robert to Dice Tower, we might have been the second time. We did the binder thing, and we focused on signing up for demos, and we went to demos together. Other people taught us games.
Yep.
The following year, we did not do the binder as much. We said we're going to go learn and play games. We're smart guys, right? We're just going to sit down, grab the rule book, and learn it. But Rob, myself, and William, like we played a ton of games.
Yeah.
I think Way of the Panda was one of them.
Yeah.
That was that year.
Sleepy time.
My brain was fried.
Yeah.
Like doing the whole let's read these rules together.
And sitting there and watching somebody read rules and try to explain and then trying to figure them out. I mean, you're spending half of your time reading rules and trying to figure out games. But that is one of my favorite things about cons is going and having other people teach me how to play games that I've wanted to learn.
The 2 years that we did were so different in the feeling.
Yeah.
And I would have to recommend the one that Amanda is heading to.
Yep.
Right. You called about.
Yep.
Setting up games with people that already know the rules.
Exactly. So yeah, if you're in the Discord, please take advantage of this. I know you guys have a great community. It's great to meet people while you're there, and you can always put up the sign and stuff, but it's nice to like know ahead of time. Like, I'm really excited that Jodak is going to be teaching me Marrakesh.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a great way obviously we all are very passionate about this, and we have these games that we love to play anyway. So most of us like to teach them to people. I know Nick had like a whole bunch of them, and he's like, by the way, I don't need to play it. I just want to teach it.
Oh yeah, yeah, I enjoy that too.
Yeah,
just teaching, and you do too. You teach tons of games, so yeah, you know how that feels. Yeah,
I think that was the
I
benefit
love
last.
teaching games.
Oh, is it like last year at Dice Tower East was my first time at Dice Tower East, and I played 40 or 45 games or something like that. It's something insane amount, and I think only one of the games I played entire time there was not somebody that wasn't teaching it. Right? It was Sam and I sat down late one night. We thought a gentleman was setting up woodcraft and he knew how to play. And it turned out he had no idea how to play.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
That's not the
Such
right
a
thing
different
to learn on the
experience.
spot.
That was like, I still enjoyed the play.
It was the
'cause
Venus flytrap of gaming. Like he's setting it up, and you come in.
Like, oh, we
he's gonna
gotta
teach, right?
Gotcha.
But
I think I was in that game with you. It took forever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Thank God. But the best part about cons is we're setting up the game and we're clearly struggling, and somebody walked by and was like, "Oh, I love that game." I'm like, "You know how to play it? Teach us." And she gave us like a 10-minute quick elevator pitch and was like, "Okay, now we can kind of figure out from there." But yeah, it's the best way about doing it is just have people that can teach the game and go from there. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, it would have been a 7-hour game if that person hadn't stepped by and saved us. Yeah, it was rough, but yeah, that's the thing. And so I was also wondering if we wanted to coordinate. I love party games. I'm a big party game person, especially lately. And I was like, we should put a thing on here for like if we want to have a meetup and play party games. I personally also, it's not really a party game, but I love Blood on the Clock Tower. And I never get to play because getting
Why are you nodding your head, Robert?
Well,
Like you're gonna jump into a game like Blood on the Clock Tower.
People love Blood on the Clock Tower. Not me.
That's what you're agreeing to. That there are people who love it.
People love it. Yes.
Hey, I know the nerdy words. I know William loves running.
He's usually at Dice Tower. William from Nerdy Weds.
He should be there.
So he's down for that.
Yeah, I think he ran one for us last year.
Yes, he did.
He's like 6'8".
Yeah.
Yeah, big
Behemoth
guy.
of a man.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
But party games sound great. I mean, last year we did an impromptu. Was it right before or right after we did the live show on Thursday night? We did Green Team Wins, and we had like a 20-person game.
While I was packing up all the equipment,
just sitting in the hallway,
Yes.
and that
We
was
were
one
in
of the highlights.
In the food area, right where we did the live show on Thursday night, it was like we had 3 sets of. So we had 18 people. It was 18.
Something like that.
18,
Yeah, it was a lot of people. It was almost 20. Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's awesome. So yeah, I think I might make like a whole other tab that's just like party games. Like
Do it.
or I don't know. Just if we just pick a time and everyone shows up, we can play party games.
Yep. Do it. Sounds great to me.
Yeah. So I'm super excited.
And for those who don't know,
that's
just real quick, Dice Tower East is going on in 2.5 weeks from today, and it's going to be in Orlando, which is, for us Florida folks, is a real central place to meet up. We've got some people that live on both
Rob
coasts
says
here.
2.5 weeks. It feels closer.
Week and a half.
It is
Week and a half,
literally
man.
Is it a week and a
14
half?
days.
Oh, is it a week and a half? All right. Yeah.
So like actually
It's on a
13
Wednesday.
days.
It's on a Wednesday, so
Yeah.
it's got to be either a week and a half or 2.5
And I
weeks.
asked if this will
One or
be
the
there
other,
Tuesday, so it's even less than that. It's like 12 days.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, almost less than 2 weeks. Got it. All right.
Yeah, Rob thought he had time to plan. Brother,
No. It's, yeah.
It is on.
Yeah. That's why I jumped on the spreadsheet today. I started filling my name in, and I'm gonna make a list of games that I'm willing to play and bring and teach. And so I got to get on that spreadsheet.
Blood on the Clock
tomorrow. No, not that one. not my kind of
I
game.
know it takes a certain group of people. I know,
Yes.
but
And I know I'm
if
not
it's
part
going
of
to
that.
happen anywhere, it's going to happen at a con.
I know my limits. I'm not part of that charismatic. That's just not my personality, and so I don't lend anything to that game, and it's not up my alley. So I just stay away from it, and everybody's happy.
Listen, no is a
Totally
full
fair.
sentence, Robert. No on
no.
its own is a full sentence. You
That's
don't
enough.
you don't
Enough
need
said. Okay, no.
That's true. I learned that from the Olsen twins. That's right.
There you go.
But yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to call and say and shout that out so everyone gets on there and uses it because that will be, I think, awesome. I want to play all the games like everyone does.
all of them.
Yeah.
All of the games. So,
Are you going to
yeah.
be there Tuesday night,
Anyway.
or are you getting there Wednesday morning?
I'm
Yeah,
getting
what's
there
your con
Wednesday.
look like? Con plans.
I get there Wednesday, but I am a work from home person. So I bring my laptop and I work from the hotel on Wednesday, and then the rest of the con I'm there. But I don't know how many other people are. It seems like they did a lot more kids tickets this year because I have several friends who are bringing their kids.
I noticed that the kids tickets were available dang near all the way to the end.
Yeah,
it's about the same
so
amount.
my son's only.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No,
No,
I was
you.
gonna say,
It's
my
your
son's
call.
only 4.
Okay.
My son's only 4, so he's not anywhere close yet to to being able to attend. But we're gonna go up there and my mom's gonna come, so they're gonna be at the pool the whole time. But I have so many friends who are bringing their kids and like actually going and playing games, which is just crazy to me.
No, this year is the whole family's coming with me. So last year we had just a few of the family. This time it's the whole. Yeah, Whew, it's going to be a lot of us. So it really is for me going to be more of a cross of a family vacation with gaming, right? So it's not going to be just dedicated to gaming. It really is because this is our one time a year as a family to get out and enjoy it. So you'll see me in the family poolside. Like that's going to be our big thing is the poolside family events because we
did games
seven of
poolside
us.
last year. We played games at the poolside.
We did. We played some Dr.
Games did
K
you play?
poolside.
Yeah, I think
I heard last year there were wristbands for the pool or something.
Yeah, they started that last year.
Because of
First time
July
they've done that.
4th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to top the
But if you're
outsiders
staying at
from
the
coming
hotel,
to the pool.
yeah, get the outsiders. But and what's funny is that last year was my first Dice Tower. My wife and my kid came up to have fun, and then as soon as my kid saw all of the dexterity games and the library, he was like, well, "Why don't I have a ticket?" So, so my wife and my 10-year-old have a ticket this year. So the idea is that I get up crazy early. I'll go and game. And then maybe in the afternoons, they'll either come and game with me and we'll go to the pool, vice versa. And then, at night, he may go to bed and we leave him in the room and wife come down and play games as well. So it'll be a bit of both. And I love that this year they're having, 1 or 2 magic shows. And I cannot wait for the Grant Lyon comedy show. I want to hear board game comedy. I think that's going to be great.
Should be cool.
Did you? I haven't looked. Do we have to get tickets for that? Or is
Nope.
that just a you show up thing?
I think it's just a you show up thing.
Yeah, usually I know they stopped doing it for a few years. In the past, it was just as many people as could fit in the room. So you just showed up and they would let you in. People would stand out in the hallway and look in. People would stand along the walls. And so assuming they haven't changed anything since the COVID layoff, it should be that kind of open thing. So
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see. Hopefully the room is big enough because I can imagine these are going to be fairly well attended. So
Probably
I hope this room I don't want to have to get there 2 hours ahead of time to get it.
Although you would be surprised at the percentage of people who were just there just to game. They don't care about
Right.
any of that
They
other
don't care
stuff.
about anything
They're
else,
just
yeah.
going to game. Yep.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I'll be making it to the magician. The comedian sounds good, especially if it's about board games. But
Yeah.
I'm if I have a chance to sit at a table and play board games with people who want to play board games, then I'm gonna do that.
That's me. Maximize the time at the table, baby.
Yeah.
Yep.
I might skip the magician and let the wife and kid go to the magician. But so Grant Lyon, who's on Dice Tower all the time, he supposedly has been working on like 45 minute to an hour long comedy sketch, and he's a professional stand-up comic, so he does stuff outside of board gaming, but he's also a board gamer. I'm excited to see what he would do with an hour 45 minutes of just board game
Is Joey
comedy.
doing the magician thing?
It's I think Joey and the other guy.
Joey
and
Brian Drake.
Yeah, both of them.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're both doing shows. Yep.
kind of interested to see in those two.
I want to see like a battle, like a wizard battle. That's going to be awesome.
Maybe one of them will show up at the other show and they'll go at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and supposedly Tom got a whole bunch more dexterity games for like the yeah. So
He's been talking about all the stuff he's been picking up. Yep.
I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be fun.
Well, Amanda, thank you for the call on the Dice Tower topic, getting us ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm so psyched.
Getting us
Yeah.
excited. So, yep.
Listen to Amanda. She says go to the Discord, find the spreadsheet. If you're willing to teach a game, put it on the list. If you want to learn a game, add your name to the list. And then she wants a whole spreadsheet tab for party games. So somebody's got to make that happen.
Done.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks for calling, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thanks
man.
for calling.
Appreciate it.
So, yeah.
You guys are right. It's less than 2 weeks now. We're just looking at 12 days. So I keep trying to push it back about another half a week because it's coming up too fast. But I say that, but I can't wait. Yeah.
I bet. Like just yesterday, I turned to my wife and I said, we just got back from our family vacation 2 weeks, and I'm like, damn, we're only like a week away from going to Orlando for like a couple more days.
Just one after another. Yeah, y'all just got back from Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I was going.
Yeah.
Why?
You had a ticket, man. You had a
Yeah,
ticket.
we'll
Next
meet
year.
up soon, either
Next year,
here
though.
or there or somewhere. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a Dice Tower West one of these coming years. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna do that. Dice Tower S, or even maybe in the World Series of Board Gaming.
Yeah.
Both of them are in Vegas. So this
Yeah.
is convention season, man. A bunch of people, all the podcasts and shows I watch outside of this they're all at Origins. And you got
so there
Dice
was
Tower, and you got Gen Con, and
chat in the chat, the Discord today. Y'all were talking about the Dragon Con coming up.
yeah.
a
Nick
group of people are going
Oben's
up there.
going to join us. Nick and Sam from the Greater Dice Tower, the Greater
Beans and
Dice
Dice.
community. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Are joining me in the craziness of Dragon Con this year. So
Nice.
that's nice. It'd be good
Yeah.
to have you kind of show them around a little bit. I know Carlos.
Yeah, that's what
I've been a couple times, and Carlos and I stumbled through one, but we were working.
It really
so we
is.
weren't-
So like,
yeah.
I've been to Dice Tower, been to a bunch of local cons, been to Tampa Comic Con, been to MegaCon, been to Origins, been to Gen Con, right? Dragon Con is different. It is
Mhm.
just, I've talked about it before years ago on this, or last year or two
It
ago on
is.
the show.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's
Yeah.
75 to 90,000 people in the 10 hotels in downtown Atlanta and the convention center for it's I can understand why anyone would go their first year or even their second year and be like, I don't even know where to go. Cause it's just, there's like,
So much.
yeah, like they have what they call tracks at the con, and each track is a different topic. So they have Tolkien and Frank Hubert, and they'll have Star Trek, and they'll have Star Wars, and they'll have robotics, but it's like anything nerdy you can think of. So like last year, I took my kid to robot battles, right? So it was like people building robots and doing like robot battles. And then I went to like a panel with Star Trek people and a panel with like voice actors from the Cuphead show. And then we went to like a rave, and we went to like a metal band concert. And then we went to play video games and board games and painting minis.
The whole
And,
array there.
And then we went to like, true science of space exploration, where there was like literally a panel of like astrophysicists and like an astronaut. And like, then like my wife went to one on like women in comic books and in artists. And like, so like any aspect of nerd, geek, science, culture has like a panel, and there's thousands of them. So like when you get the brochure of like all the panels and events you can go to at Dragon Con, it's 700,000 different things you can go to. So it's hard to pick. Like, what are you going to do, right? So like you go to Dice Towers, I'm going to game, and then maybe I'll go to a comedy show. But at Dragon Con, it's like, well, crap. I'd love to hear from an astrophysicist and a NASA scientist, but I would also like to go see Jim Butcher, who wrote the Dresden Files. But I would also like to go to this like cosplay contest of Star Trek people, right? It's like, what do you do, right? It's
Too much.
So it's way too much. It is, and and every year you can do different stuff, so it's great.
It's exhausting. Like
Yeah.
the amount of walking that you have to do.
Oh yeah,
It's massive.
It's insane.
it's that four whole big city blocks downtown Atlanta. I mean,
Oh,
big
it's more than
city
that. It's
blocks.
like
Yeah.
6 or 7 city blocks.
Oh, is it
big
now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's even
Mm.
bigger. Yeah, but it's. I mean, this will be my 24th year of going to it, and I still don't
Crazy.
like. Yeah, there's only like I do different things every year. Like there'll be times in the past where I would game the entire time. I'd never leave the gaming hall, but then there'd be times where I go to the dealer hall, and the dealer hall, that's even crazier, is 4 stories, and like think about maybe half a football field size room, 4 stories, and the line is like around like 3 city blocks, but like the line never stops moving to get in. It's just a constant line, and then once you're in, and you could spend 2 or 3 hours going through your hall and not to see it all. That's how many room booths and things there are. It's kind of crazy. So it's
Crazy.
yeah, it's I think when you talk about like, so we've talked about it before, conventions, they do turnstile attendance versus actual attendance versus whatever. Granted, I haven't been to Gen Con in a few years, but Dragon Con's the biggest con is by far. I think that because when they count people, they just count how many people attend the con. And it is like 75 to 90,000 people that are attending this convention. I think Gen Con is in the 60s maybe, and they say it's bigger, but I think they're counting people for each time they come, whereas Dragon Con just counts how many tickets they sold, and the majority of their tickets are for the 4 days, 5 days, whatever it is. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Sam. I know Sam's got a little one and some older boys, and we went last year with our kid for the first time, and that was a wholly different. I mean, I've been there 23 years by myself and my wife and my nerdy friends, and then last year was like experiencing the con with a 10-year-old or a 9-year-old at the time. So totally different experience, but it was a lot of fun. So anyway, I digress. I've been blabbering a lot. So
cool.
Well, that's the part of the show that we're in. We're in the part of the show where people call in because we are officially off the rails. We are off the rails, and it's going to be random conversations about random topics.
Crazy.
I figure the only way we can control any of this or provide any semblance or even image of control is going to be going round robin. We just go round robin with each of us providing topics, either news articles or games that we want to talk about that we played, and we just do that until somebody calls in and interrupts us, because that's what we're looking for. The call-in show.
Call-in show.
Like,
So I do want to bring up an article that has me interested, and we'll talk a little more about that. It is an article by Dave Heward. He's with Stonemaier Games on stonemeyergames.com. He put a blog out there, the current state of digital versions of tabletop games in 2024. I don't know if you had a chance to read that article. It was a good article. Talks about that. Stonemaier as a publisher, our approach to the digital format at Stonemaier Games continues to evolve. They talk about how some of the full AI digital games are licensed to developers such as Wingspan, Viticulture, Charterstone, Scythe, and Rolling Realms, right? But that they also have some talented programmers out there in the board gaming world who have put up some of the games on BGA, right? It takes a person dedicated to put that game on BGA. Usually they're not paid. These are just people who provide their time and put the game on BGA. So I guess like Wingspan, Tapestry, Viticulture, and it says Scythe is currently in alpha for BGA.
Wayne and I have some comments on that.
Yeah,
but keep going.
I was gonna say whoever the talented person in the gaming world that's developing the Scythe game should get paid.
Go for it.
And let's go easy because it is in alpha right now. So it's got an alpha.
Tell
it's got
me
beta,
more.
and then it comes. But yes,
Play your interrupt card.
it is rough.
It was a trap card.
It is
I've
rough.
never seen a crappier interface for a BGA game.
Scythe
It's
is rough.
horrible. Like, I'm sorry. I and what's funny is this goes
Editor
against-
notes, scratch out talented.
No. It was, very
It's an
talented.
You know what?
Alpha. It's
Scratch
an
out
alpha.
programmer.
We need to be fair. It's an alpha.
No,
But,
it's an alpha, but like, and this is like, I hate to do this. I really do.
Do it.
No, I
But
really
he's
do.
doing it anyway.
No, because like last week, I know I posted to you guys, like Kevin Smith he was on a podcast with Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville. He has like a really good podcast. If you're looking for a cool podcast, Michael Rosenbaum has from Smallville, guy who played Lex Luthor, has a podcast where he interviews like people in the entertainment industry. And he had this interview with Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith was like, "I'm done with like being negative. Like, there's no reason for it. I'm only on this earth so long. Why be negative? Just I'm only going to talk positives."
Because
But I'm
it's
like-
fun.
I know it's hard. It is. But anyway. So back to the thought is, so the Scythe user interface for BGA right now is really rough. It's tiny. Like you're
How
little,
rough is it?
It's pretty bad.
It's so rough.
It's so rough. No, but like I the first two turns I couldn't even see my characters on the board. Like you have your little meeples that you can, not meeples, but whatever guys that you move around.
Your
They're like
mechs
little
and your hero or
hero
character.
guys. Yeah.
I'll tell you,
They're
I was
so-
on the wrong side of the board when I tried to take my first turn. I was on the wrong faction, and I was like, "Why can't I click on anything? Why can't I?" I sat there and did that for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I was like, "Oh, hold on, I'm on the other
let
side
me
of the
ask,
board."
Robert. Let me ask.
Where
Was
did
it the Nordic that you were clicking on?
No, I was actually
Because I thought because it was blue, you always try to move somebody's blue piece.
I was trying to do the Rooseviettes because I always play the Rooseviettes inside, and I was not this Rooseviettes. I was the other red faction. This
It's really rough.
yeah.
And I think it's also more like the Steam implementation of Scythe is so good.
yeah.
Well,
that's
that's
per-
like
I
and
agree.
that's like
high-end
professional
production.
development. Yeah,
Yeah,
high end
yeah, yeah.
production. So having played it on Steam so much, moving to BGA where it is like unpaid people who were just kind of developing it because of the passion for the game. So that's I applaud who's doing it because it's better
It's
than
it's on
yeah,
there.
it's on there, it's going. but it definitely like they need to look at the iconography and the sizing issues.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the Steam version of Scythe here in a moment. The article continues talking about some of the benefits, some of the things that motivate them to pursue digital ports of their games, and they include that people can learn the games more easily, that they can discover that they've been playing or misplaying a game that they already know, which that's true. I've had that feeling.
I've done
or
that
like, why can't I do this in the game?
Easily. Yeah.
Mike's with me. He knows that feeling.
PGA prevents you from cheating. I mean, there's so many games that I'm sure I'm cheating at that I'm not intentionally cheating at. But BGA
anybody else like open their box, find their rule book, and be like, "I know I can do this," and then you're like, "Oh, no, I can't."
It's funny. There's an argument. I've seen the argument on the BGA implementation of Wingspan a ton now. Is the card? There's a bird card that when you play this bird, you can play a second bird.
Mm-hmm. You still have to pay the cost and everything.
Right, you still have to pay the cost, but like. The bird has either like the woodland or the grassland ability, and when you play it in the woodland, it forces you to play the second bird in the woodland, and everyone's arguing, well, we always played it that if you play this bird, it lets you play another bird in the habitat, and you can play either habitat, right? But no, it was wherever you play that bird, you have to play the second bird in that same habitat. So like there's
Mike's having a moment.
Oh, I've been doing that wrong.
No, but that honestly, people, I've seen it on Facebook a ton of times. I've seen it on BGA where people are like, why can't I play this bird in the
this game is broken. Something's wrong with my interface.
Yeah. No,
he's writing. He's writing the developer. I need to report a bug.
No, but
not a bug.
I'm like, why can't I do this? Oh, I guess that's the actual.
That's part of what they call one of the benefits of actually having the digital games. It also talks about you get to play a game a lot more often than on the tabletop version. Play with friends and strangers from around the world. You get to invite people who don't normally play tabletop games, like your video game friends, because it's easier for them to understand, playing on a computer. It's more affordable than the tabletop versions. It's more accessible to those with social anxieties. These are all a lot of good reasons why they continue. I'm not listing all of them. Try before you buy. Go deep into a game by gaining dozens of plays in a short period of time. A small amount of revenue. Now, he says that it generates a small amount of revenue, and then they provide data to support that. It talks about renewing interest in older games, acclimate data to use when designing expansions, but they give a little caveat, and they say that they've had limited access, successful access to the data. Right, because I know that Stonemaier is very big on data, and I remember when Scythe came out, I was a big player of it. I was playing it all the time. They had a website where you put in what factions were played, who won by how many points based on what player board they had, right, the combos. So then that's when they got to like fixing the patriotic Rusviets because of that data acclimation.
Like playing hundreds of games,
I'm sure though that the data from Tapestry being played online helped them redesign those factions.
Exactly. And then boosting ratings and buzz for visibility on Board Game Geek. Those are all good reasons as to why they play.
So what are the bad reasons?
Some of the bad reasons that they have big caveats. They say the developer might simply stop supporting the game, and there's nothing they can do about this. This happened to Gloomhaven. It even happened to Scythe Digital when the developers have said that they can't add expansions to the game. So as great as the Scythe Digital game is, and we give it mad props, they can't add expansions to it. It's just not going to happen.
It's not their option.
It's a Stonemaier thing, yeah.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Chris from Texas. Good evening.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Hello, Chris from Texas. We are talking about the article that Stonemaier put out talking about digital games. And as much as we like to take your questions, this led me to questions that we're going to provide for next week. Being our question asker extraordinaire, our buddy Chris from Texas, the question that I will put for you, Chris, to drop into a voicemail is going to be, what's your approach to digital ports? What are some of your favorite full digital games or games on Board Game Arena? That's going to be the question that we will use for next week's show when we fill the voicemails bag. I don't know if we should call it a sack.
Yeah, voicemail.
I like saying sack.
Sacks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's after 10 o'clock.
Okay, satchel.
No,
Zach.
I guess
Fill
it
the
is.
voicemail bag with your answers to this question. And Chris, I'm hoping you drop one in there for us. What's your approach to digital ports? And what are some of your favorite full digital games or games on Board Game Arena? I'll post that up for all of us to do later. But the show is yours, my man.
Okay. I love it. That's great. So my son's with me tonight. Hopefully we don't get hit a big nasty rainstorm. We're actually driving.
I can tell. It sounds like you guys are distant.
Sound like we might have lost him mid-sentence there.
Hopefully not in a flood. Texas, man, those rains get rough.
You there, Chris?
I think we may have
Might have
lost our
you.
buddy
We'll
Chris.
try to call in again, Chris. If you get a chance, we'll try to leave the line open for you. Anyway, back to Carlos's thoughts here.
Yeah.
He's scrolling back here, scrolling back. Trying to pick up where he left off. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that it talks about is the lack of revenue, actually.
Oh, yeah.
They did a survey, and only 4% of the respondents to the Stonemaier survey indicated that they bought 6 or more games as a result of playing them digitally. Over half the people surveyed who played digital ports said they didn't buy a single tabletop game because of playing it digitally.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know how accurate that is.
Those are some very choosy numbers that they picked
Yeah.
there. 6 or more, and then half didn't buy any. All right, well, that's a big gap that you're leaving there. For
Did any of y'all
somebody
take the
that
survey?
did
I
buy
took the
something.
survey. Did y'all take the survey?
I don't
I didn't
remember.
even know
I think
that.
I did.
yeah,
I
don't
took
think
a
I did
survey.
either.
It seems
It had a spread. Like it had a
bought,
number.
I bought like at least 10 games in the last year and a half that I played online. So,
I have 0 for me.
Because you played them online?
but Rob, you never buy games, so
Not often. Not often. I buy a handful of them, but I haven't bought a single one ever that I've played.
I would
digitally.
say
if I can get it
probably-
digitally, I'll never buy it.
Really?
Yeah.
Never?
If I can get it digitally
No,
for
come
a fraction of the price,
on,
I don't think I'd ever buy it.
Well, you're broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show me where somebody hurt
If I
you.
can play
I-
it digitally, why would you
I would
buy it?
say probably 80% of the games I bought in the last 2 years I've played digitally first,
Yeah,
and then like, okay, I like the game, I want to own it physically, so I can play it physically with people.
Rob
I can
would
buy
want to
it-
play a game that he's played digitally. He'll bring his laptop over to your house, and then you both can play online.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
LAN party.
If I can
Okay.
if I can play it digitally, I won't buy it. Yeah.
From a confessed collector, because Rob is currently in this room, and it's only because I moved a stack of games from under his seat so that he
Should've
can
left
actually
them
sit
there.
down.
Raise me up a little bit.
Oh, I thought he was sitting on a stack. Of
Sitting on a
games.
stack of games. Crown of games.
I buy those games like to support. Okay, so as a DJ, I grew up DJing. A big part of my DJing was actually buying the CD or the album from the people that I liked. Like I wanted to support the artist that put it out, right? That put out that item. In the same way for board gaming, I want to support the publisher and the designer for putting out what we call it last week, a banger, right? That
Yeah, bangers.
The word banger.
Slaps.
Yeah.
Right. Like I wanna throw some if I'm gonna spend a little bit of money, I'm gonna spend it on the people that I want to be like put another Paulo
Keep
Mori
doing it.
game out there.
Yeah, keep doing it.
See where I disagree with that survey is if digital and everything we've heard from everyone in the industry is digital versions of the games lead to sales of the physical game. If that wasn't the case, then none of them would allow the digital ports of their games. BGA wouldn't exist. Stonemaier wouldn't be putting his games on BGA if it wasn't leading to physical sales. He wouldn't. Why bother? Why give the Robs of the world a digital version of the game where he's never going to buy the physical copy? Right? Because
Well, we've seen that with Carlos's music example. We know that to be the case in music. Music was 80% of people who could get it through Napster, could get it for free, never bought music because they could get it for free. I mean, that's a proven fact. I mean, you can go look that up.
but then there's the buzz that comes around with it, right? So let's say I'm a Rob. I don't know. We got to go a few shades lighter, maybe a couple inches shorter.
Yeah.
If I'm a Rob and I don't buy because of digital play, but I do talk about it. So here I am. I'm on the show, right? Last week I talked about what game? Dominion. Why? Because Chris Yee talked about it in his top 10, right? Why? Chris Yee specifically said in his top 10 because of the new digital app it got him playing it more, which then brought the tabletop version back on the table. So Chris Yee brings it up. Next thing you know, it's on my table, and I introduced it to 3 of my family members where they got to play for the first time.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
I think there are more people like Chris Yee who play the digital version and then bust out the physical version, and like me who buy no game company. If I'm Asmodee, I'm not going to put a digital version of the game out there if it's not leading to physical sales.
right, and it may not be a direct lead, is what I'm trying to say here.
I
Like,
gotta answer
it
that
may
too,
not
yeah.
be Chris Yee played the digital version, so he bought it. It was Chris Yee played the digital version, which got him to play the tabletop
Right.
version and talk about it, which
Right,
then
and I'm-
drove other people
My
to seek
point
it out.
being, at the high level, all the game companies have said that digital versions of their games actually lead to physical sales. However that is, whether it's the person played it and bought it, or the person played it, talked about it, and other people bought it, it leads to sales.
Well, I think right. It leads to a better knowledge of that game, a more of it in the zeitgeist, and so it leads some people to buy it. And I'm not saying I would ever. I definitely didn't say that I would buy the digital version over the physical version. But if for whatever reason I had the digital version already and I was happy with the digital implementation, I would never go buy the physical version.
Okay.
I don't want to buy it
No,
twice.
that-
I've already
that makes
invested in the
sense.
digital version. I'm not going to go buy the
If
physical.
I'm
if
the
you're play-
opposite.
but if you're playing
I'm
the
buying the
physical-
digital version. I'm paying for the audio book of the rules. I'm paying for the digital download of the
Yeah,
rules.
exactly.
I'm paying.
You're a little different.
But no, Rob, if you're playing a game for free on BGA,
Uh-huh.
Am I the only one that's done that? That's actually bought an audio book of a rule set? Am I the only one here who's ever paid for an audio book of a rule
I
set?
didn't know that was a thing.
Is that a thing?
It was well for wargaming. It's a thing. Like
that's different.
No, then no.
Okay. Yeah, no,
I have the digital PDF. I have the paper copies. I have the audible version. Like I got them all. Nobody
Is
else.
this
Chris,
person
you
keep
with me?
calling in and hanging up so that you keep answering
I'm
the
with
phone and
ya.
quit talking over him?
Am I the only one, Chris,
wants to talk. Chris wants
that
to talk.
that buys every version of the rules to be able to
Yes.
enjoy?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, on to Chris.
Moving on. Answered.
Nice.
It's yours, Chris.
We hit a monsoon here.
Sounded like it.
We,
Hit a
yeah,
water
it was
buffalo.
gully washer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hit a gully washer, so then we lost signal. So, yeah, so anyway, I'm back, but the rain has lessened as we're driving home. So,
Excellent.
yeah. So I like the question. That's awesome, Carlos. So basically, what is your take on board game, electronic versions of games? So board game arena, board game apps specifically.
Tabletop
those,
simulator,
and
all that
then
good
what are
stuff.
some-
What's your approach,
Yeah,
and
and then what
then
are
which
some of
is your favorite?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely can add to that discussion for next week. Look forward to that.
Excellent. What are you bringing us this week?
Well, my son, he's been wanting to call in again, and he wanted to share his top 10 with you guys. And so I'm going to hand it over to him so he can share what he wants to share, and then maybe I'll ask you guys a question after that.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right, Isaiah, you're up.
Hi.
Hello, Isaiah.
Hello.
Take it away.
Let her rip.
So, my number one favorite is Dice Throne, Marvel Dice Throne.
Number one game of all time, huh?
Isaiah, how old are you?
Guys, before we back to X-Men,
7.
7.
he's 7. He'll be 8 in November.
Nice.
7.5.
He's already kicking
Yeah.
butt on Dice Throne.
All right, Marvel Dice
Yeah.
Throne, number 1, but we're waiting for X-Men to come out, right?
Okay.
What's number 2?
First Red.
First Rat. Oh, Wayne will love that choice.
There you
It's
go.
on sale right now on Dice. What's the website?
Oh, I
Game
saw it on
Nerds?
there. Game Nerds.
Game
There you go.
Nerds. GameNerds.com. It's like $25. I almost bought
23,
it.
24, 25 bucks.
I
yeah.
almost bought it.
That's a great deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what's
All right, how
number
about
3?
number 3?
Castle Panic.
Castle Panic. That's a
Castle
great one.
Panic.
That was
Okay.
one of my first games I ever bought was Castle Panic.
Oh, that's saying a lot too.
Yeah.
Buying the game.
We have a couple expansions for it. The newest one is actually the best. Everybody gets a special hero that has a special ability, and then you're guarding one.
Oh no.
Tower gets destroyed, you have to go to a different tower, and if you can't go to another tower, you lose that character.
Is that the White
Actually really
Tower
fun, and it has,
expansion?
I think Chris is coming and going again, unfortunately. Are you there, Chris?
We're getting close to on that.
We heard part of that, but we're losing
Tower
you.
expansion. Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we got you back.
Okay.
Okay. So we have the newest expansion. Gives you a special ability. You have, like, I don't know if you heard that. It has a special ability. And then you're guarding a tower that's on the board. And that's like your tower to defend against the waves of enemies.
Carlos was asking if that's like the White Tower expansion or something.
And it's not White Tower. What is that one called?
Wizard's
Tower. There's a
Tower.
Wizard's Tower. That's it.
I bought that
Started with the
expansion, but I
W.
haven't played with it yet.
It's not that one though. That's an older expansion actually. What is it called? It's Kings and Crowns. It has crowns in it. I think it's Kings and Crowns.
Okay.
Number
It
4.
has modules. Number 4.
No question. Question crowns.
Quest and Crowns. Okay.
Crest and Crowns. Okay.
All right, number 4, Isaiah.
Ticket to Ride United Kingdom.
Oh, okay. That's one of the mini ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the small box versions of Ticket to Ride. They've got, 3 or 4 of those out now. I believe there's, New York, there's United Kingdom, there's, a Netherlands one.
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Yeah, there's several of them out now.
So this one's a big one. This is a full-size one.
Oh,
It's
is
the
it?
Oh, you're talking about the
map.
UK map.
It's actually
UK map.
a board.
Oh,
So-
okay.
There's Ticket to Ride London.
Yeah.
Is the small one,
London,
yeah.
that's it. I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah, Isaiah don't play. He don't play the little ones. He's in for the big
size.
game.
No.
Big full size.
This is technology upgrades. You have to earn your way to get abilities in this version. It's actually very challenging.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, number 5.
King of Tokyo.
Ah, great
It's a
game.
good one. Classic.
More importantly, which character?
The cat.
If you get to pick first, which one are you picking?
Who was it?
Cybertooth.
Cybertooth.
Cybertooth. Okay,
Cybertooth. There you
Cybertooth.
go.
That's a good one.
He's like a transformer.
Yep.
Going down.
Yeah.
Sweet. Just played
Okay,
that
that's
last week.
number 6.
Jaipur.
Jaipur. Wow.
Jaipur.
Okay.
Wow. All
That's
right.
for a
heck is going
preteen.
on
That's
with these
yeah.
kids?
That's
Got to get those camels.
Playing these advanced games. All right. Number 7.
Marvel Smash Up.
Smash Up. All right. Nice. Marvel Smash Up specifically.
I think I played that one.
I have not.
Stone,
Here's the big one, guys. Number 8.
Stone Fine Architect.
Oh wow! Now you're really going deep. That's a game that's I don't think I could play that one hardly. That's got a little complexity to it. I'm going to look that up right now while you're talking to see what they've got the rating on that one.
All right,
Number
what's
9.
Number 9.
My Little Everdell.
My Little Everdell.
My little. Yep.
Nice. I have
Oh,
not played
okay,
that. I've played the
cool.
regular Everdell a couple times, but I haven't played My Little. I assume you've played both, Chris?
Yeah, it streamlines it quite a bit. I mean, obviously it's more approachable for families and stuff and younger kids, but it streamlines the mechanisms and simplifies it. I mean, it's very clean. I think you would actually appreciate the game design, Rob,
Okay.
because of how clean it is.
Good. I found Everdell to be a little, I don't know, little clunky, a little. I love the pieces and the production, but I didn't love the gameplay, and I didn't love the fact that people finish at different times, or they don't necessarily finish at different times, but you can be pretty much done with what you're doing, and let the game be autoplay for the last 2 or 3 rounds. And I didn't love that part of it because there was one game I finished and had pretty much maxed.
We started
out.
a whole nother game.
Yeah, and it
well,
was,
they kept playing.
Yeah, well, I was playing that one, so yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I digress.
Number
everyone
10.
has an equal number of turns.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has an equal number of turns, and it's that number of rounds. So
good.
They eliminate that.
Okay.
Marvel Remix.
Marvel Remix. I know there's some controversy on that one.
Okay.
At least on this channel there is.
And in all fairness, he's not played the other version. He's only played the remix, Marvel Remix version.
I blame his parents.
Series.
One question. Would you like me to do my top 20? These are the top 20.
We would always love to hear. We would always love to hear folks' top 20. Like that's our thing is that top 20 of the year.
And you could do it on the show, and then you can also do it on our Discord. Post it up on there also if your dad will let you, or if your dad can post it up for you.
Yeah, it's up to you, Isaiah. Do you want me to post it for you, or?
Yeah, I would like to.
Okay, we'll post it on there.
Sweet.
But I'm going to keep going.
You want to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's ready. Let's go.
Is that okay, guys?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
go.
Las Vegas Royale.
Las Vegas
Robert, I think
Royale.
you've talked about this
yeah,
one.
This is a good game. I played this for the first time last year. I think I played it with what was it? Wayne and Sam and
Jim,
was it
maybe?
Jim. Yeah, I think it was Jim.
Go.
3 4 us played. It was a really good game. I was really surprised.
Number 12.
Spot.
Say it
Spot.
again.
Have you
Spot.
guys heard of that one?
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
That was on
Dog
Discord.
game. That's a good one.
Someone posted it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Spot. I thought
I've
he said
heard of it.
Psy. That was
No,
like,
Spot.
what kind of games is this
We're
kid
getting heavier and
playing?
heavier as this list goes on. All right.
13.
Space Park.
Space
Oh, man,
Park,
Space
shout
Park is
out.
a classic. I
I
love
haven't
that
played
game.
that yet. I got to play that
Yeah.
sometime.
You haven't played that yet, Rob?
I haven't. Michelle has it, and she's hosted it at her place a couple times, and I haven't gotten in on a game yet.
It's a great filler plus, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Space Park.
Yeah.
All right.
Good game.
Number 14.
14.
In the footsteps of Darwin.
The Footsteps of Darwin.
Spiel des Jahres nominee, and I think
I just-
possibly a winner.
I just played it yesterday. Yes.
Nice.
That was the one I got you guys to purchase on the show.
That is true.
Wayne, I think, bought it when I recommended it, and Wayne bought it.
Nice.
And I just got my copy back. It was out for a month. Someone had borrowed it.
Wasn't me this time.
Nick Oben, right? It was
Nick had it. I cameled it or muled it back from Nick Oben's back to Carlos. But number 15.
New York Slice.
New York Slice. Good
Rob's
game.
got that
I
one.
like that one. I've taught that to a lot of people.
He doesn't buy a lot of games, but he bought that one.
Bought that one. Yeah, that's a good one. Number 16.
Colorado.
Colorado.
I have not actually played. I played that digitally once. I own what's the other game that's like really similar?
Oh gosh, I know what you're talking about. It's slightly heavier, but
Yeah.
it takes a little bit longer. But
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Good games. Yeah, good games. I like it.
What are we at? 17?
17. I think?
17.
Yep, 17.
Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
Got it on the list. One
Okay.
play. It's
I
not
saw
even
that.
a full play because we started it. We started the game. We didn't finish it. So we'll finish it tomorrow night. But after a half a play, it's already on his list.
Awesome.
He loved it.
I saw that on the Discord.
Pandemic-like game?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I need to get that played.
It's in shrink here at my house. I think it's gonna move up the list on get the family to play it.
It's a really good cooperative game. It's really fun. Makes you feel like you're fighting for real.
Yeah. Puts you in the theme. It's very thematic.
right.
It's definitely of the pandemic. It's not. It's based on the pandemic system, but it's definitely a lot different. It has similarities, but they've taken some liberties, and it's not Matt Leacock. It's another designer.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's in the pandemic system. Now, Isaiah, be honest. You're doing the majority of the quarterbacking, right? Like, that's you.
Running the
Yeah,
game.
he is actually. Yeah, tell him, Isaiah, what you do. Was I giving you a lot of advice, or was I only helping you a little bit?
You were helping a little.
Yeah, so he was
Nice.
doing most of it. And he even said, "Oh, Daddy," because I told him that I could help him anytime he needs help, or you could help me. I just told him we could do that. So he said, "Hey, Daddy, if I go over here, you can help me with this." I'm like, "That's true." And so we actually teamed up on the first mission to complete it together. Because you really have to work on those missions together. You can't just go do missions by yourself in that game. They just won't work.
Good job.
Nice.
Number 18.
All right.
Battle Line Medieval.
Yeah, like Shot and Totten.
Yes, Shot and Totten, also Battle Line Ancients, Battle Line Medieval. Robert and I play this at the pub.
Oh, yeah. Good games. Just a deck of
19.
cards.
Wayne and I played this at the pool, the Shot and Totten version.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Dr. K.
Okay, there you go. Kenizia.
You can swing a monkey around your head and hit like 18 Dr. K games.
So I wonder where you're going with that.
That's why he was
Swinging
my favorite
monkeys around your
designer.
head. I was like, okay, let's pull this in here.
That's why he was a favorite designer.
Number 19.
I think we're at 18, aren't we?
Planted a game of nature.
Planted a game of nature and nurture.
Praise be.
Praise
There
be.
you
Phil
go.
Walker
Phil Walker
Harding.
Harding. There you go. Praise be.
And number 20.
I think that was 20, right?
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Penguin.
Oh, penguins. Penguins of Pinkwing. You probably never heard of that.
Haven't heard of
Never.
that one. I'm going to look it up.
It's a hidden movement sort of style game, but family, where there's each of you is on a different side of the board, and the board goes vertical. And it's all magnets that's moving the stuff around. It's actually pretty cool, pretty clever. One player is playing as the penguins that are trying to steal the treasure, and then the other one's playing as the mummy trying to get the penguins and, prevent them from stealing the treasure.
Reminds me of the penguins from the Madagascar film,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
like plotting a mission together.
What was the name of it again? I'm not having trouble finding it on BGG.
Yeah. Isn't it called Penguins of Pinkwing? Isaiah? Just in front of them.
Pyramid of Penguin.
Pyramid of Penguin.
Ah.
How do you spell Penguin? Can you spell it out, Isaiah, that last word?
P-E-N.
G-E-N.
G-Q-E-N.
G-Q-E-E-N.
I'm a grown adult and I can't spell.
I see
Yeah,
it.
that's a hard word.
Pyramid of Penguin. Yeah, I found it.
Yep.
I heard penguins.
Oh, that was something else.
I was way off.
That was me. That was me that said
That was
that.
Dad's misinterpretation, but
I
I
had
found it.
envisioned a game
Yeah.
of penguins stealing treasures from a mummy. I was like, that sounds awesome.
He's making up his own
Well,
game.
there are penguins in the game, right, Isaiah? Aren't there penguins in the game? So I was right on the theme. I just had the wrong name.
Got it. Nice. All right, that's Isaiah's
Stop it,
top
man.
20.
And for you folks at home that are playing along, Isaiah gave us his top 20, but we do keep track of our top 20 games played this year, and you can do that in our channel on Discord, the Top 20 channel. You can update up your list each month to tell us what top 20 games you've played, and we can critique you and tell you why you're wrong.
Why you're wrong. Which ones suck? All right, Chris. You said you may have a question for us?
Yeah. So now that you guys are talking about these board game adaptations online, my wheels are kind of turning that way. So I may hold off on questions because my mind's going with thinking about the next week's question.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm glad I can come up with
Are
something.
you talking?
I know. I love it.
Question.
That's good.
Are
What's
you
that?
talking about like video games?
Yeah, like
Digital
digital apps like the Jaipur we play on my phone, Sagrada we play on my phone, and then Board Game Arena. Remember that one time you played King of Tokyo on the computer?
Oh yeah, right.
Yep,
Yeah,
so we
those
want to
types of
know
things.
your approach to digital gaming, and then what's your favorite digital game?
That would be King of
Saved
Coke.
for next week. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, save it for next week. Don't spoil it.
We got to keep the listeners in suspense.
Thank you, Isaiah, for the call. We really appreciate you. Get home safe.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Thanks,
Good night, Chris.
That was fun.
Kids and gaming. I love it.
Yeah, good stuff.
We got to start them early. There's too much competition out there for our kids' attention. Getting them early on the board game life is smart.
Get them hooked.
And at 7 years old, I would have been like, the game of life.
Yeah, some of those games at 7 years old. Even Dice Thrones, number one. I mean, for a 7-year-old, Dice Thrones, trying to put together, press your luck. Where am I going to re-roll? Putting together sets of numbers. Yeah, that's a
Crossbows and
lot.
catapults. That
Yeah,
would
there you
have been it for me.
Yep. War.
Rochambeau.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Fishing for More says, love the Deliverance shirt. Yes, this was an early first run of Deliverance shirts that I purchased. I got my copy this year. I think I picked it up from Wayne at the Tampa Gaming Guild when they did their flea market. Wayne had picked it up for me from our local retailer who had grabbed it. So I am currently reading the rules, watching videos. Next week is, so this is part of the news here, next week, Mission Hills Baptist Church on 56th Street in Tampa, Florida, is doing their men's group. I went last month to the men's group, and the men's group is doing a board game day on Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. That's this coming Friday. I believe that's the 28th, I think it is. But it ends up being the 28th.
Go, Rob. They
Yes,
set
it is,
up
28th.
Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, I know. Terraforming Mars last week. I missed out.
I walked in and I was stunned that Patrick was teaching Terraforming Mars.
It's
But
been-
this next week,
Advertisers 6 to 8, so it's like
I didn't expect that. Like, that made no sense to me. I walked in like, Patrick, what are you doing? However, my understanding is the Deliverance, the skirmish version, can be played in less than an hour. So my hope is to get it learned this week, play solo a couple of adventures, maybe with family if they're up and running for it, so that next Friday I can teach a demo of Deliverance at the Mission Hills Baptist Church on 56th Street. For those like hardcore gamers that think, okay, 6 to 8 doesn't seem like a lot of time, don't forget it is 5 minutes away from Armada Games. Friday night Armada Games. There's tons of games going on over there. Lots of people hanging out there, so you can finish your game night at Armada Games. But next week, Friday, Mission Hills, our buddy Patrick is hosting a men's group game day, 6 to 8 p.m. My goal is to be teaching Deliverance. Thank you, Fishing for More, for the shout out on the Deliverance shirt. He said he's only played it 2 times, and then he played it at the Lexicon Game Convention in Lexington, Kentucky. Nice. Shout out. We got Kentucky. I don't think we have Kentucky on the board yet.
No, that's a new one.
First time we got a viewer
First Kentucky.
from Kentucky.
Cool.
All right.
Nice.
Anybody got a topic, game they want to talk about? I know
Yes.
we had Wayne talk about Dragon Con. Mike, what you got?
Mike's got a yes.
Real quick. So last weekend, went to a couple, our friend's house. There was going to be 5 people there total. So I brought So Clover for the first time. We played that. We played a few rounds of that. Everybody seemed to like it. That game is like, it could take forever to figure out the 4 words, or you can bang it out in like 2 seconds. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
all these work perfect, you know? Everybody seemed to like it, but the one game that I wanted to talk about was, it was getting to be about 10:30, and they were like, all right, what do you got next? And I was like, well, you know, I've been wanting to play this for a long time, but I don't know how you guys feel about it. And they're like, what game is it? It was like, Shogun. And they're like,
Oh, man.
all right, well, tell us about it. I was like, all right, well, it's got this. As soon as I said cube tower and you're dropping these cube, they're like, break it out. Let's see what this game is all about, right?
The toy factor.
Yeah, so, you know, it's been a while since I played it. And Shogun, it's like there are very specific things when battles occur, as far as like farmers being involved and not being involved, and when they're just onlookers. And so I set it up, you know, I take the time, I set it up, and I go through the whole rundown of how the game works. And I'm getting blank looks from everyone at the table. So I was like, let's just run through a round. You know, let's just run through the first season, all 10 cards. Let's see how it goes, right?
Get your rice ready.
Get your rice ready. Yeah. So I explained the bidding portion as far as like who for turn order and the special cards, at the beginning of each phase, getting blank looks. I'm like, okay, we drafted our provinces. We've got, all our military out there, our armies in our spots. And I was like, the cards in your hand, just put whatever the heck you want on any space you want, face down, and we're going to go through the round and
figure it out.
Whatever happens, happens. Just so you can see how this works, Go through the first 10 cards. I mean, I'm like almost done through the 10 cards, the first 10 actions of the first season. I'm still getting blank looks. I'm like, okay, whatever.
This
we
is
got
a
through
group
the
of
first-
gamers.
Not heavy gamers, but they have played heavier games, and I think it was a combination of it's getting late, and we
The
went
sake is flowing.
we went from a party game to Shogun,
Yeah, that's a big
So we
jump.
got through the whole round, the whole first season, and I'm explaining like, end of round, like how you would have to pay your rice, and you've got revolts going on, and it
Bag
fell
it.
flat on its face, and I was
Bag
like,
it.
okay, we're packing it all up, and I was just like, we're done.
Yeah.
But
back
it
to
made
Snow
me
Clover.
think, it just made me think like, man, I want to play this game so bad, and it's been so long since I've played it, so I've been talking to my friend. What was the other game that was similar to Shogun? Starts
What it
with
was
an-
based off of? It was
Yeah.
Wallenstein.
Wallenstein.
Yes,
Yep.
Wallenstein. I asked my friend, I was like, my friend Scott, who I game a lot with, I was like, have you ever played Shogun? He's like, no, but I played Wallenstein. And I said, no, I told him, I was like, Shogun, like, it's a blast at full player count. It does take a little bit longer, but there is a way to kind of like rush through it where you can do like simultaneous actions on most of the actions that you're taking, except for the fighting and the like placing the one military guy and moving people over. And he was like, oh man, I played Wallenstein with full player count. It was a freaking blast. So he's like, anytime you want to bring Shogun over and teach it, I'll make sure that we've got enough people for a full game. And we'll
Coming to
get that played.
BGA.
Shogun's on BGA. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, BGA.
Yeah,
No,
Shogun's on
it's not
BGA.
the same, man. You can't do cube towers on BGA. Screw
Oh,
that
you can.
crap.
Physics.
Bump the table. Bump the
We've,
table.
we've
no
played
physics
Shogun
crap.
on TTS.
Can't be any worse than us playing Shogun in person.
Ooh.
Rule mistakes. Rule
Rule
mistakes.
mistake.
We forgot
Way
to
too many
take farmers.
Yeah, farmers out of the tower.
Farmers
We
were
never took
slaughtering
farmers
everybody.
out of the tower. They kept going back in. So the farmers started destroying us.
I'm like, why would I ever go to war when there's like 17 million farmers that are just going to slaughter me? Like,
It's like the NVA
Whoops.
showed up. It was bad.
Anyway, BGA.
Yeah,
It
so
is
anyway,
on
that
our
was-
list. Shogun, William and I have a list
William
going, a
was
little
the one
side
that
list.
taught me the game.
Yes, it's one of his
He was
favorites.
that's how I was introduced to it, and I
Think he taught
remember
me?
him. He played the quick way where you could do simultaneous actions on most of the things, except for those three where it does go around the table. And I remember, and I always thought that was just how you played. And then I remember the one time he was on the show, and he was like, "Well, I house ruled that to make it go faster." And you're like, "Hold on a second, I don't like house rules. What do you mean?" and he's like, well, "No, it's just this one,
We haven't seen William back since.
Yeah, he's been MIA. Mentally scarred.
Yeah, so
No, he and I have a private message going, and we just keep adding games to this list of like, I want to play this at Dice Tower, and right there, at the
you've
the
got
top
like 3
five,
Dice Towers
Shogun.
worth of
Yeah,
games.
yeah,
he's got
at this
50
point,
games on his
Dice
list
Tower
now.
better be like a 30-day con for the war games that him think they're playing.
Is Shogun really at the top of the list?
It is Shogun's what Sekigahara and Shogun. Like he's big into the Japanese theme.
Yeah, I know.
That whole genre of Japanese samurai is like huge for him. So that is on our list to play.
William will get a bunch of those games played. Over and under, Carlos gets more than one played.
We shall see.
How many Coco Locos will I drink at the pool? That's
How many
going to be a
times
lot
will you-
more than the times I play Shogun
How many times will you fall asleep at the table
or in the pool.
in the
or
pool?
in the pool? That's even worse.
I'd be down to play Shogun. I enjoy, even though we played the rule wrong, I could see sort of the bones of a good game there. Yeah,
It is because it's such a good cross between like a war game and a Euro game. Like there's such good cross to that where it's not just straight Ameritrash chuck dice, whoever
Yeah.
rolls better wins.
It's like El Grande. It's similar. It's like that area
exactly.
control with
Yep.
the
Somebody
Castillo.
put Shogun on the spreadsheet and pencil Carlos and
See, that's
William
the tough
in on
part.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
like committing. Like commitment, I'm hard.
There's no times. There's just a list of
That's
games you want to
that's
play.
what I loved
Yeah.
about the binder.
Yeah.
The binder at Dice Tower
Locked you in.
for that morning,
Yeah.
right? Like I didn't have to commit
Till that morning.
2.5 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
It was that morning I committed. What's the
again,
comment?
Yeah, again, right now we're just but we're not setting times or dates. It's just a
They're
list
just
of
throwing
games you want
games
to
out there.
play and people who are
Shogun should
interested
be
in
on
those
it.
games. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Fishing from War's got a comment in there.
Yep.
He said he
So-
found you guys from Dice Tower.
Probably from the
what-
Favorite
Oh,
Game
nice.
Friday. We've been
Okay.
doing.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
Favorite Game
Sweet.
Friday.
What is the meaning of beans and dice? And also, what part of the country are you guys from?
Oh,
Sorry,
Tampa, Florida. I'll knock that out.
Yeah,
Carlos can
the
do
majority of us are from Tampa, Florida. Mike is up in Seattle now,
in
but he was
Seattle.
originally from Tampa, Florida.
Yep.
Yeah. We started in Tampa. Yeah.
And
We
there's,
spread.
I'll say that Tampa Bay area has a huge gaming community. There's 7 or 8 different large groups, and so like Beans and Dice, we're part of the Wesley Chapel Board Gaming Group and the Tampa Gaming Guild, and
Yeah.
so there's those of us on the show, and then there's probably another 50
Oh, yeah.
or 60 other folks that game with us, and we see at cons and game days, and there's game days. So yeah. Anyway, there's that, and then I'll let Carlos talk about.
Carlos, take over for the name.
Oh yeah, how we came up with the name. Like Rob and I were looking at names, and Rob's practically my heterosexual life partner.
Yeah.
We've been gaming together for decades.
Years. He introduced me to gaming. He started me on
And-
this whole board game thing.
I wanted something to do, of course, being Puerto Rican, my heritage, enjoying rice and beans. And then with Rob being my Caucasian friend, my Caucasian brother from another mother, he gets to be the rice. I get to be the bean, right? So that's where the beans and dice came in.
We like our food. I mean, we talked about
We do our
toyed
food,
around
yeah.
with trying to bring food into it. We haven't gotten to that part yet. We're
You,
still
had that,
talking
you guys had
games,
that
but-
hot ramen night, which
Well,
I'm,
we did.
it was like
Yeah.
one of the first shows I watched, and I'm like, this
Hot
is
ramen
awesome,
challenge.
man.
Yeah, there you go.
Shout out to Mike Lorenzo. He worked in on that game on the logo design. He got his brother to do the logo design. That logo is so
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
I love that logo.
How many?
I just
has
made
anybody ever contacted you about? Because the logo. There's a game in the logo. You know that, right?
there's I think 12 different beans in there. What was the
There's
number?
more than that.
I cannot find them. I can't
For the
really
people
find
that
them.
don't
Oh, I did not know this.
If you look at the logo, there are beans hidden throughout the logo.
I never knew
So-
this. I gotta find those beans. Nobody told me.
I've counted,
Yeah.
and I think I've only gotten to like 10.
10?
Like I don't think I've broken 10 beans
I
that
want
I
to say
found.
there's 11 or 12. I got to look again. I'm looking
We
at
got,
the logo now.
Nice.
Christian saying originally from New York City. Now he's in the Midwest. I'm actually originally, like most Floridians, originally from somewhere else.
I had no idea that you were from up north.
Deer. That was originally from
Deer.
Brooklyn and Long Island. Yeah, my family's originally from Brooklyn.
There you
Long
go.
Island.
New York connection.
Yeah, that logo is awesome. I actually just picked up 50 2.5-inch buttons. So the clip-on buttons that should be here this week for us to take the Dice Tower.
Oh, yeah.
I think last year we took a bunch of coasters
I've got some stuff still, some swag
and
at home,
stickers. So I'm
so
going to
we'll bring some
bring
stuff, yeah.
50 buttons to be given out at Dice Tower. So I don't know if
Nice.
Fishing for More will be at Dice Tower East, but if you find us, myself, Rob, and
Yeah.
Wayne, we're going to have handfuls of Beans and Dice
Swag.
buttons that you can add to your lanyard to show that you are...
Nice.
Am I allowed to say it, a beaner? Like, I keep wanting to use that. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a little.
If you say
little
it, it's okay.
border. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can say it. The white guys can't say it.
You're
but-
one of our beans. You're one of our beans.
So he's calling from his kitchen in Queens where he cooks his rice and beans. So there you go. Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
it.
We like some rice and beans.
Hey, Rob's over here eating with me.
Yeah.
Them rice and
Love
beans.
me
That's
some
a
rice and
staple.
beans. Woo.
Yeah.
That's how we came up with the name.
Yep.
All right, so Mike ate one. I gave a topic. Wayne and Rob.
I thought you said 8-1. I was like,
8-1.
Yeah, that's
still
what I
talking
thought
about
he
beans
said
and
too.
rice.
I ate one what?
I ate
What?
one, Carla. Somebody ate one. I want to talk about something real quick. I played, when was this? This was the 18th, a couple nights ago, with the kids. We got our first game of the first expansion to Destinies that we played. It is the
I wanna hear about this.
Sea of Sand. So this one takes it to the sands of the Sahara Desert, to the gin, the genies in a bottle.
Gin with a D, right?
DJIN. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, really, really cool. My son, who hates dice games, and there are dice in this game. There's mitigation to dice.
Yeah.
He was rolling horrible. He was rolling handfuls of dice and rolling just ones after ones after ones.
Like father, like son.
Dropping the F-bombs. He was like, I hate this game, this stupid game. We got done. He lost. I won of the three. Me, my daughter, and my son, my oldest son and my daughter played as we did play through the original Destinies. And we just got this expansion in maybe a couple of months ago, so we finally got it to the table. And all the whole time, complaining, bitching, moaning, the whole game. We get done, and it's like, all right, you don't have to play anymore. My youngest son will step in for you. He will finish the campaign. Campaign is 3 games of about 2 hours each, so we're not talking about a big, huge campaign. But he's like, as soon as I said that, no, he's not playing for me. I'm going to finish this thing out. I was like, oh, so you actually enjoy it. You just want to bitch and moan the whole time. And so he kind of admitted he's enjoying it. He hates dice games. He was rolling horrible. He finished basically. There's one winner, and then there's everybody else. The other 2 are losers. It's a 3-player game, is what it's made for. You can play with 2, but it's a 3-player game. But it tells me again. Carlos knows my son well enough to know that a dice game, number one, in a game that he just played crappy. He had horrible luck. I'll admit it. I mean, he had horrible luck. I was rolling well, which is unusual for me, rolling dice. But I rolled well. I kind of ran away with the game. But the story that this tells it was probably the first one was probably close to 3 hours. We broke it into 2 different nights. And the stories that this thing tells are just, I don't know. You got to try this game. If you're interested in story and theme, which I'm not normally a theme guy, this game is.
But can you try it? Right? There's so many of these games, these narrative games, that you have to commit to a long term. Like, can you just try it?
Yeah, they are all like the base game is there's
one-offs, right?
There's a shorter. Well, there is an overarching story. If you play them in order, they do kind of lead in where the last one ends, the next one picks up. You can play them in any order. You can just play one of them. The first one is 3 full-length, probably 2 to 3 hour scenarios, and then there's one intro scenario that's about an hour long that just kind of teaches you the rule. And teaches you just the basic rules and how to play through the basic game. And then, but that one, if you continue on after that first one, again, it starts that overarching story that goes to the second one, to the third one, and the fourth one. The Seas of Sand, it's just 3 parts. It's another full-size box. It comes with a whole other full size of these. When we talk minis, we are talking minis. I don't know your millimeters. Mini. Yeah, for your guys who play mini games, they are little teeny tiny minis, and then they have like 1 or 2 that appear to dwarf the others, although they're not that huge. But then you've got these little tiny. Well, so anyway, but it's good. The stacks of cards that you play through just our whole first scenario through that first 4-game box. We played through maybe a third of the cards, and so all kinds of randomization. All kinds of decisions. It's a race, really. You're running around this map.
It's competitive, not co-op, right?
It's competitive. Yeah, it's competitive. So you're running around this map trying to beat the person. Sometimes you will have the same objective at the same time, and it's kind of a race to see who can get the right clues to go to the right place to find the right.
So kind of like Detective, the City of Angels, where it's competitive, but you're watching what other people are doing that might give you a clue on where you're headed.
You have to,
and then you have to remember it's a Lucky Duck game, so it's got the QR code scanning stuff.
Yep, you're scanning. It is app required.
War cards.
Yeah, it is app required. So some people may not like that because people who are anti-technology in their board games, it does require an iPad or a phone that you can
1
scan.
out of 10.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. 1 out of 10. I'm out. It's done. Yep.
I think much like Carlos, I don't play solo games, but I always play solo games. I think, Rob, you really should just stop saying you don't like narrative games because all you ever do is talk about narrative games.
All right, well, maybe that's a good distinction. We won't get into much of it now, but I do like narrative. I don't care about theme. If you tell me this is what you're doing in the game, I don't care. But once I'm in the game and it's telling a story, I'm interested in the story in the game. I don't care about backstory. I don't care about what happened before. I don't care about what world I'm really in. But while I'm in the game, I do like stuff that makes sense, that connects. So anyway,
the mental gymnastics he's going through to justify this.
To avoid the right
downward
answer.
dog.
No, I don't know. Theme I could care less, but yeah, narrative is good. So anyway,
this one, once I get, I was going to say, once I get rid of or play through some of my narrative games, I have to get this one back.
It's fun.
Because hearing you talk about it makes me remember.
But it keeps showing up on so many lists.
Yes.
Like mostly watch Dice Tower.
Yeah,
I mostly watch
the
Dice
whole
Tower.
And I sold it all because it just never got to the table.
I wish I had it all now. Yeah, I just bought just the base game, got my toe in the water, and now I wish I had it all. So I'm going to be buying
Lucky
it.
Duck had that sale going on not that long ago.
I know, and I
almost jumped on it. But...
I had already bought the Seas of Sand. I was waiting for that to come in, and then they did that sale like 2 days later, and I was like, oh, so what am I going to do now? So I want to try the next one, and then I want to try the next one. So I'm going to piecemeal it. But
have you looked at the Dice Tower virtual flea market?
I have not for that specifically. I've gone through the 6,000 games or whatever it is now.
Oh my gosh, it's insane.
It's ridiculous. So
I think I'm $100 in though.
That's exhausting.
Like, that's not terrible.
I'm $110 in, but I've got like 7 games.
Right, I'm $100 in, and I think it's like 5 or 6 games that I bought. So I think it's a good average.
I'm 180 and I got 1 game.
180.
I'm sorry,
really?
what?
You got Death May Die though, right?
Osworn from Dez. Yes, 180 for
Like,
Osworn.
I'm gonna wait this week. I'm gonna probably throw out a couple, like, people who wanted games for like 20 or 30 or 40 bucks. I'm gonna throw out like lower bids and be like, would you take 10? Would you take 20? Just to see if I grab a few of them. But I'm not really worried about it. So.
There's some games
on
my list I'm excited for.
It's good. It's dangerous. That virtual free market. I'm like every day. I'm like, oh, new games.
Games that I never thought I would be able to get, like Conditori.
That's a good one.
Like
for you to say.
One of the folks in our Discord brought it up, and I could not find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it was been out of print for so long, and then it showed up on VFM for $20. It's like, no way.
Nice.
That's actually one that I don't own because one of my friends owns it, so I always played his copy. So if you get it,
But I'm scared. I'm scared because the person never acknowledged my comment.
Oh, really?
I commented. I was the first one to comment. I was like, buy it now. Let's go. $20. I'll take it. And like no one ever acknowledged it.
Just
Does he
message
have
him
other
directly
games
now.
out there?
Say again?
Yeah, does he have other games? What Mike said. If he
I
has
don't
other
know.
games, see if he mentioned, because you can go,
other
you can
people's.
click on it and sort by seller and go to that seller and see what else he has.
Right.
Okay.
See if
And
he's
then
with
if not,
other
you just
people or
message
not.
him directly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know we want to give Wayne just a minute here because we're coming down to the end of the show, but I wanted to mention for Father's Day, my kids picked me up. I've talked the last couple of shows about underwater cities, and I mentioned on the last show that I wanted to get that expansion. My kids for Father's Day picked me up the underwater cities expansion, so I was ecstatic. I wasn't expecting pretty much anything for Father's Day. There you go, and I got that, and over the moon. The triple layered player boards
nice.
are so nice. They're way thick and really nice, and adds extra cards, adds some asymmetry to the beginning of the game. Big hit. I can't wait to play it. Yeah,
Good kids.
yeah, good kids.
Yeah, good
They
kids.
paid attention. Yeah, but Wayne, I know we wanted to throw
Any
to you before we
topics,
wrap up.
Wayne?
Yeah.
No, just really quick. I mean, this week I started replaying La Havre or La Havre.
La Havre.
And what's funny is like I played it solo, and then I started teaching my kid how to play. We were playing it, and I'm like, this is an Uwe game.
Oh yeah.
And this doesn't seem that complicated, right? And I'm like, what? Like, so I went to BGA, and I was like, it's got like a weight of like 3, 4, or 3. It's like, I'm like, this
What?
game's not really that heavy. Like, I'm like, that's crazy. So it was just surprising me. Like,
Yeah, but it was like 1996 when that game came out, right? Like it's
like 90. It's like 15. It's old. It's 10 or 15 years old now. Probably 10 or 12 years old, something like that, maybe. But it just struck me of like, I was playing the game, and I'm like, I played it through solo first. I'm like, wow, this is a lot faster and easier than I thought it was. Maybe it's just a solo experience. So I set up 2-player, and I was playing with my kid and showing it to him, and I'm like, yeah, this game's not that complicated.
3.7 is what they've got it rated, but I will
wow.
tell you, it's a game that the rules aren't that hard.
Yeah,
but
the rules are really simple.
to play it well is pretty tricky. I
Yeah.
played it twice now, and I first time I got
good at
creamed.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being good at it versus like the rules are really simple.
Yeah.
And it's like really straightforward. Okay, yeah, all the cards and how you buy them and what you buy and sell, or when you pick the pots, or the goods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
There's lots of decisions.
There's lots of decision space there, but learning the game is fairly simple. And if you could, like, my 10-year-old was like, "Oh, I get this. This is, yeah, okay, I can understand." He picked up the rule set real easy. So I'm like, how is that a 3.7 on BGA?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call it a 3.7. That's way up there. Yeah.
I that's why I have to like, and so it makes me think about like what other games I own that are weighted heavy or that people consider complex, where it's, yeah, maybe the gameplay and the decision space is complex, but the rules are simple to pick up on. And where's that difference? And even if my 10-year-old struggles with it, I'm like, well, I could teach him the rules, and he'll get the rules, and then as we play it, he'll learn better strategy, better decision space.
Right.
And I really, it goes back to like not my hatred of, but my dislike of the VGA weighting system, because like, how do you weight the game, right? Do you weight it based on the rule set versus the complexity of gameplay? Because like chess would be a fairly simple rule set, but the decision space is insane.
That's
right?
got to be it. So I just pulled up Caverna just as an example. 3.78 for Caverna. Caverna is at its heart a very simple worker placement game. All you're doing on your turn is placing a worker, but stringing together the things that will bring you success in the game is where that complexity is. But yeah.
Anyway, that was just thrown out there. Just like I was thinking, like, God, this game's not that complicated, but I guess it is. Like the decision space is. But anyway, that's what it is. Oh, a good comment. I can throw up another comment from Fishing for More here. Thanks for creating a show so I can listen to you guys enjoy board games while I work on PowerPoint presentations. I'll even do
right up Wayne's alley.
PowerPoint Excel. That's like my whole life.
But fishing for something. What was it? Fishing for
more. Yeah.
Fishing for more. Check us out. We also have a podcast version of the show, so if you like listening to, we upload every episode as a podcast. I think we've been going on since 2020.
Gosh, it's been a little while now.
2019, it was like Dice Tower 2019 when we first talked about doing it. It was horrible.
Don't go back and watch those early shows.
It was horrible.
Go back and watch some of those. Like how far you guys have come from.
The game that I played this week, I talked about it last week in preparation for Father's Day. I had wanted to play Thunder Alley, so this week I was able to get Thunder Alley to the table.
Nice.
I was not able to get the 5-player version out. I was only able to play 4. Still good. Still good at 4. I'll tell you what, like I get worried when I teach the family, like the kids and everyone, a game that I like, because you know that feeling. Mike described it, teaching Shogun, and then watching it fall flat.
The blank phases,
right? You're like, okay, I guess this will never come out with this group again, right? But imagine like that's your family. Like I got to live with these people. Like I really want this game to shine because I want it to come out more than just today when I taught it to you. And as I'm teaching the game and we're starting the game, I kind of just like glanced over the rules real quick and said, all right, let's go. So Thunder Alley is a racing game. It's 10 years old now, 2014.
Wow. GMT?
I thought it was older than that.
It's 2014 title from GMT. Yeah, the GMT games, they all look old. But it's all about the pushing, pulling, and drafting of cars in a NASCAR style around the track. It's very much a social game because you need to work together with your opponents to be negotiating up until that last
work together
corner.
with your opponents. Yeah.
Right, work together. Right, and at that point, it's a free for all.
Yeah,
right, because you're trying to race to the finish line. But I taught just the very basics of these are the 4 different types of movement that move your cars. Look for the big number in the top left. If we need to pit, we'll talk about pitting. Oh my God, those player aids are great. Thank you, Michael, for those player aids.
Bringing that up.
I handed everybody out a player aid, said, here's where the movement is, and we just kind of got going. So there's a lot of questions on, well, what does this card do? Right? What's this red arrow mean versus this green arrow? The linking seems to be the hardest part of the game. Like, depending on the type of movement you do, what cards are linked with you and come with you, right? Because you're going to pull people you don't want to pull, and you're going to not pull people or bring people along with you that you want to bring along with you based on the card you play. And it was probably around halfway through the game when I started to see the gears, pun intended, turning.
Intended.
And the actual strategy plays start to happen of, when you get a whole group of people who've never played it before, by turn 1, all the cars are separated. Like everybody just thinks I'm just going to go. Like we're just going, right?
Nope.
That's the worst thing you can do
get left by
in
yourself.
Thunder Alley is go off on your own because you're going to get left behind. You really want to be part of the pack, as in NASCAR, part of the group, working with that group to move those cars around, staying somewhere near the top 10 so that you can push that car towards the end.
Sprint to the finish.
Or try to, like I did. 8 spaces got me right to the finish line.
One short.
One short. Like, not past it.
You sit there and watch everybody race past you.
It was horrible. And I'm like, okay, well, then I'll just play for second, right? I'll just play for second. My wife and I had this train of cars going because we got left behind. But eventually, I'm like, listen, you push me, I'll pull you. And we got a little train of our cars going, and we got pretty caught up. And at that point, she busts out like the solo card, to get in
Oh,
front of all
man.
my cars.
Nice.
I end up in third
Well
place.
done. Well done.
Brutal.
So
Well
she
done.
wins the game
Yeah.
at like 153. Right? She just she used all the boys to her advantage, like all her sons and her husband. Like, well, if you pull my car with you, right? Like all her cars got pulled around by all the kids
She
and
played
I.
it right, man.
Listen, that's what you're supposed to do. So she got 143. My middle son Julian, he got 142,
Oof.
and I was at 141.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for her sneaking just a couple of car lengths in front of me, I would have had that second place.
That's awesome, man.
But and at the end of it, right? And I'm wrapping up. The oldest boy, he's got to get back to studying for his engineering exams, right? So he's like, I had to drag him out of the room to get him out of there because he's got engineering exams the next day. That's all he wanted to focus on. He stood by for like the next 5-10 minutes just talking about how the game played, talking about the movement aspect, because they played downforce, right? They played heat, but none of those games give you that spatial movement piece.
Drafting and the pulling and the pushing.
I
Right,
still
like-
think Thunder Alley is leader in that.
Yeah,
aspect,
it is up
man.
there.
We
And,
got a
and
game. Got
Blood
a game on
for-
the worksheet.
yeah,
I was-
Discord. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Rob.
I was
You
just
got
saying,
it.
we have a game set up on the Discord. Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Already set up for that. So I think we've got like 4 people already. I assume we'll fill out the full. Was it 8 players for
6.
that? So 6 players. So
6
Is
to
this
8.
game on
Is it?
BGA?
it's not.
No,
No, that's
man.
we've only ever
This-
played it on TTS.
TTS,
I
Tabletop
know,
Simulator.
but it
Yeah.
needs a BGA implementation, so we're not all grabbing the same car and trying to move them across the track at the same
We've done
time.
that.
Did-
We've done
Dan
that.
was gonna like run a TTS like league or something, and it never
We've
happened.
done that
Yeah.
before in the past during
Yeah.
But
COVID.
It will
We
be
did
a
it for-
game at Dice Tower. So I'm
We
looking
did 2
forward to that.
seasons. Yeah, we did it for 2 summers back
Yeah,
to back.
two seasons back to back. It was great times.
Yeah.
Those are some of the best gaming moments.
I know. I think Mike, it was Mike, me, Jim. It was like we had a 6 or 8 player game at your turn con.
Oh, yeah, I
and
was
it
there, yeah.
It was awesome.
I was in
As
on that,
cool
yeah.
as Rallyman is, as cool as Heat is, as cool as Downforce is, none of them really give you that cooperative / social aspect
Backstab.
that this game does.
It's also one of the only racing games. Now, granted, I've only played it once and I've watched it played a few times. You really aren't going to have a runaway leader.
No.
Because
I
it's
think
not
it's-
about your
it's not
car.
about
It's
that,
about
yeah.
the team.
Yeah, if you go by
Team.
yourself, you might
Yeah.
jump out to a small lead, but you're going to get caught. Yeah.
But like almost every other racing game, sometimes or tends to have issues with runaway leaders, and this game definitely does not have that.
yeah.
And you have to play nice with other people, because if you don't get with somebody else and
Yeah.
work as a team, you're done for. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have enough cards in your hand to make the moves to stay with the rest of the pack.
Oh, and we played a league from week to week. There were some people who turned
Feelings
on
were
each
hurt.
other.
Oh, man.
People were pissed because you were my buddy last week, and we agreed this week we're going to go in and do it again. We're going to dominate this week, and then one person decides, you know what, I can win this thing, and
Yep.
they screw over the other guy, and man, it gets
man.
ugly.
It's going
soon
into
as
that corner, where you have to come into
Choose.
one lane, right?
Oh yeah, when
Yeah.
it narrows down. Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I could push that red car, or I can just go
Jump
right
in
past
front
them.
of them. Yep, jump
I
right in
can
front of them.
Yep.
Make them push me.
And then they're off on their own. Like they're completely on their own, trying to figure out how to get back, praying for a clean air card.
Yeah.
Every time that we started that game during COVID, Mo and Dan and I would hop in Discord and chat
Oh,
with each
yeah.
other while we're playing, and Dan would be like, "Watch the freaking chaos I'm going to cause them this one," and then he would drop some crazy ass card and just cause 100%
The
chaos
worst-
all over the place.
When Dan would push out of a corner, and then there's divergent. And then he would push one car outside,
It'll
and
leave
then
it
all
there.
the other cars would go up the inside. That one car would be left alone, completely all by itself,
Screw that.
Oh,
screaming into their Discord mic.
Rubbing his
So
racing.
much fun.
Good
man.
times. Good times. Yes.
Thunder Alley. Wait till we do the episode where we update our June games. It is going on the board.
Be on the top
It
20, huh?
must.
It is going on the board.
Got to be.
So I'm so glad we got it played. And then what was really cool was last night, in bed, kind of watching Suits. That's our new show that we're working through. My wife and I. She brings up our play of Thunder Alley, talking about the things that she liked about it, the movement pieces, the enjoyment she had.
Oh, that's so cool,
Like,
man.
That felt good. Like, okay, this game is coming back. Unlike Mike packing up his Shogun
Yeah.
to never be brought out again.
This one's going to hit the table again.
like-
When you play with people that aren't people that you've introduced to gaming that have a pretty good sense of mechanisms and stuff like that, you don't know what's going to hit and what's going to fall flat. Where I've introduced some games to this group, and I'm just thinking to myself, they are not going to like this game. And it ends up being a hit. And then you got this other game that like, oh man, I know they're going to love it. And
Surefire hit.
And nope. It just doesn't. So it's hard to tell what is going to work and what isn't.
Thunder Alley, I thought was going to fall flat. I was doing it for me. I was playing the Father's Day card, like you have to play because it's Daddy's Day. Right. Like I dropped that card and walking away with everyone enjoying it because I taught it to my middle son, but it was 2-player only. We played it at the 24-hour race in Daytona. We were at the hotel during the 24-hour race, and I taught it to him, and he's like, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I was really worried it would fall flat with the family. I was so glad it didn't.
Nice. Good
All
stuff.
right, let's close up the show. We're past the 11 o'clock hour. In closing, I want to throw up my 3 fingers here. Donald Sutherland, President Snow, a.k.a. President Snow.
Is that a scout thing?
I'm thinking Oddball
That's
from Hogan's Heroes.
Cub Scouts, right?
Kelly's Heroes. Yeah.
Hunger Games, bro.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
All right.
Donald Sutherland passed away this week.
Oh, really?
That's true. Yeah.
A.k.a. President Snow.
I didn't even
Not
hear
the movie
that.
I first think of when I think of
Body
Donald Sutherland. No, Body Snatcher's a good one. I think of Kelly's Heroes.
No, it wasn't on
I've never
Univision.
seen that one.
Never seen
No,
it.
it's weird. Oh, really? It's Telly Savalas and Clint Eastwood, and it's a bunch of American soldiers during World War II. They try to and, like they know that there's a bank with a bunch of Nazi gold, and so they separate from the army to try to go steal the gold, but they need a tank because there's a Panzer tank in the town or Tiger tank, whatever, and so Donald Sutherland is like this crazy hippie or future hippie like guy. He's got a Sherman tank, so they convince him to go and like, and it's a heist movie. And
I know the character you're talking about because one of my
Oddball.
war games has the oddball character.
oddball character, yeah. So it's Kelly's Heroes is what it's called. It's a weird movie because it's Telly
Heroes
Savalas,
of Normandy is the board game I'm talking about, but they literally have an oddball character.
Oddball character. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. So it's Telly Savalas, Clint Eastwood, Donald Sutherland, and a million other actors that you knew,
Good
and it's
cast,
like
man.
this kind of like weird. It's a weird movie, but it's funny because it's a heist movie set during World War II, and it's
I'll have to
they're
check
going
that
to
out.
steal Nazi gold, and it's good. You gotta watch it. It's a good one. It's classic.
That reminds me of that George Clooney movie with Mark Wahlberg and Ice Cube, the Three Kings.
Three
I
Kings,
think that's
yeah.
where they came
That's
up with that idea.
Kind of the same thing. Yeah.
The
same.
modern version, the Iraq
Modern
version of that.
Yeah. Kelly's Heroes
Yeah,
is
so-
so good, man.
Shout out to, or not, I guess not shout out, but sympathies to the Sutherland family.
Yeah.
The loss of Donald
Oh,
Sutherland.
Willie Mays, if you want to go.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, big
Yeah.
loss a couple days ago. That was yesterday,
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
comes in threes. I wonder who's the third one.
Well, another big one coming.
End of the show. Let's see. Voicemail bag next week. We're going to do voicemail bag. It's going to be what's your thoughts or what's your idea on digital gaming and what's your favorite digital game implementation? That's going to be the question. Well, I'll post it up and I'll schedule the show. And then don't forget Mission Hills on June 28th, Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. on 56th Street in Tampa. The men's group is doing a board game night. Our buddy Patrick, friend of the show, who's been on the show many times here at the house and studio. He's hosting a board game night for the men's group there, 6 to 8 p.m. at Mission Hills. My plan is to be there, and my hope is that I can learn Deliverance before that, so I can do a little demo game of that on Friday, June 28th. So June 27th, that's Thursday, voicemail bag, talking about digital games, and then Friday, 6/28. Any news that I missed, any topics or announcements y'all want to make before we close out?
No, I think we're good.
It's another 2 hours. Thank you, Fishing for More, for joining the Beans and Dice crew.
Yeah.
And being a watcher, hopefully now a subscriber
Spread the
of our
word.
show. Share with your friends.
Call
We
in.
thank you all for coming. Mike, thank you so much for giving us the beans on
Oh,
Pagan. Roanoke, what is it? The
Roanoke.
Fate of Roanoke.
Fate of Roanoke. There you
Fate
go.
of Roanoke. We had the Beans and Dice patented, trademarked, giveth the beans.
BEANS.
Wayne, thank you for joining again. Rob, for coming over and bringing the brewskis.
As
I
always.
appreciate you. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Mike.
I'm Wayne.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Shut
Forever
that
in my heart.
Cat up. Shut that cat up.
Good night, everybody.